This is the D6 generation with your hosts Craig Gallant,
little thing I like to call a joke,
Russ Wakeland. I'd put the little white handkerchief on my head and go, "Oh, my brain hurts!" And Raef, Hollywood Granger.
HD is in the house.
With contributions from our lovely wives.
He cheated. Cheater, Russ. You guys have to know the rules before you play him.
And our loyal listeners.
Drago, we made you out of steel.
Welcome to another edition of Rapid Fire, the roundtable discussion of all things gaming, coming at you with the speed of an overweight saint in a sleigh being pulled by steroid-using magical reindeer at physics-defying rates. Tonight's edition is brought to you by nobody. That's right, nobody. It defies the mind, does it not?
Nice.
I'm Geekly McNerdigan, your host. Today, as always, our usual panelists are Russ, why can't I be an orc, Wakeland, and Raef, what's a guardsman, Granger. Joining us as a special guest today is Ross, I am the Inquisitor Watson, senior RPG developer for Dark Heresy at Fantasy Flight Games. Let's begin. The Warhammer 40,000 universe has been at times referred to as space opera, gothic science fiction, science fantasy, and many other blended genres. Because it has been developing since 1987, there's a great deal of depth and nuance to the history, creatures, and societies, all revolving, of course, either around or in opposition to the Imperium of Man. One could easily argue that the 40k universe is one of, if not the most developed science fiction properties active today. Question. What is the single best element of the Warhammer 40,000 universe? Raef, my brain's a blank, just like I drank.
The Gaunt Ghost novels.
Ross, if it's green and mean, I'm on the scene.
Tanks in space.
Ross, spoiled for choice, I lose my voice.
That would be the Emperor.
Wrong! How could you all forget those little cherubic flesh puppets? Dead babies with anti-gravity engines and the rotting semi-sentient brains of former bureaucrats transplanted into them, flitting around on mechanical angel wings? Tell me you haven't fantasized about those once or twice while being stuck in line waiting for a driver's license.
I haven't.
Issue number 2. Of all the dark and menacing creatures of the night, vampires are one of the most popular and oft dealt with. Whether you're talking about the classic Bram Stoker novel or the latest teen craze, we can't seem to get these bloodsuckers out of our collective psyche. One of the few things that makes vampires tolerable, however, is that no matter how powerful they are, they always have some weaknesses. Whether it's their inability to go into the sunlight or other apotropaics, that is, any of a limitless number of items used to control, ward off, or defeat vampires, These weaknesses give us some small amount of hope as we walk down deserted roads near graveyards late at night. Question. What apotropaic do you think is most likely to save you if you were really attacked by a blood-drinking revenant in the deep of the night? Russ, stake to the heart and I'll do my part.
I like the ultraviolet flashlight for 100.
Raef, water that's holy will save you solely.
They can't cross the threshold without being invited.
Ross, sunlight will stop the bite.
That would be running water.
Wrong! Clearly the Romanian custom of killing the vampire with a stake, cutting up the pieces, grinding them further, putting them into water, and then feeding them to the family members as a cure will put down any creature of the night for good. And it tastes good, too. Issue number 3. The modern depiction of Santa Claus as a fat, jolly man wearing a red coat and trousers with white cuffs and collar and a black leather belt and boots became popular in the United States in the 19th century due to the significant influence of caricaturist and political cartoonist Thomas Nast. Whether he's Father Christmas, St. Nicholas, or Kris Kringle, he brings all good girls and boys rewards once a year. Question. What is the greatest Christmas present of all time? Ross, as a boy, a toy's a joy.
The Millennium Falcon.
Ross, a dream job, make me knob.
Yeah, I'm going with any kind of weapon that fires things.
Raef, peace on earth is beyond all worth.
The Red Ryder BB gun.
Interesting, but once again, given a purely subjective answer question, 3 people have managed to get it totally wrong. In 1634, the people of Bavarian Oberammergau promised God that if the bubonic plague spared their village, they would give thanks by performing their traditional Christmas passion play every decade forever. Although nearby Unterambergau was decimated soon after, not only was the upper town saved, but they make a fortune every decade to this day, being the only place on earth that still performs the ancient theatrical styles. Safety from plague and establishing the first tourist trap in history? Best Christmas present ever!
Nice.
Issue number 4. The word superlative is defined as the highest extent or degree of something. Most of us are familiar with the concept through our senior superlatives, such as most likely to succeed, biggest flirt, and the ever-coveted fattest ass award. As adults, we do not have as much truck with superlatives, and in fact, we tend to try to avoid them as the grayscale mundane world imposes itself over the rainbow hues of idealistic youth. Question: what superlative would best fit you in your current life position? Raef, most random's a fandom tandem.
I wanted to say what I was voted in high school, darn it.
Ross, lucky as stiff, though I'm still on a riff.
It is obvious to the most casual observer that superior is the term you are looking for.
Russ, most not hadiest as I pump my Slim Shady fist.
Well, I'll put what I wrote in my yearbook: never take anything too seriously.
Wrong! Envelope, please. Winner of the 2008 most Rafe-centric gamer in North America is Raef Granger! Winner of the 2008 most likely to leave gaming and enter politics is Ross Watson. And, drumroll continue, most likely to use the term innovative mechanic on his deathbed, Russ Wakelin. That's it for now. Thanks for listening and good night.
An even playing field. A clear set of rules. And a good roll of the dice.
Dice are our vice. We are the D6 generation.
Hello, and welcome to episode 21 of the D6 generation.
21! We're legal! Ow!
Nice. I'm Russ Wakelin.
I'm Craig Gallant.
And I'm Raef Hollywood Granger.
So in this episode, we've got an interview with who are we interviewing today?
What, no
Craig?
comments about my nice, easy
I was
name?
actually going to say something, but you wanted us to keep this short.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Which is probably why you kept it
Right.
short. So good
Right.
job, you kept it short.
Thanks.
We got an interview with Ross Watson, senior RPG designer for the Dark Heresy series for Fantasy Flight Games. In
And
fact, you've already heard him in Rapid Fire. He's
Yes.
a witty one.
He's quite witty. It's a good interview. And then also we're going to talk briefly about our must-own games.
We had an email, and we thought it was a great idea, so we're going to give you the 3 games each of us thinks any gamer would be happy to own. So think of it.
Yeah.
It's not. We're not looking for gifts. We're not. We don't
No.
we don't play that game.
No, we're looking for. This is for. We probably own these games even.
Yes.
We're talking about games that either A, if you're looking to buy something with your well-earned Christmas holiday cash,
Yep.
Christmas dollars, so you can spend them, or if
This
your
is what you want to ask
loved
for.
one, right, happens to listen to the show for like Wives Attack and happens to be listening now, stay tuned for that segment of
right.
the show
That's
later.
right. We're gonna help
We'll
you
have
out.
lots of good tips.
We got your back, dude.
Now, normally, this is the part we thank the folks for their shout-outs.
And what happened?
Well, I got stuck up on tryptophan, and I passed out.
Damn those turkeys!
I passed out from turkey. No, due to the complexities of the holiday week, I just didn't get the up.
So basically, we're
There are
doing
no
this
sponsors.
show for nothing.
Well, that's not true. We had some nice donations this week.
Okay. Well, that was very nice of some people.
But no, we'll bring the sponsorships back in episode 22.
Okay.
And that'll be up on
Promise?
Monday after the show goes
Promise?
live. I promise. I'll
Okay.
be back.
You guys,
So-
we need to all come together
Right.
in this season of peace and buy some sponsorships is
Right.
what we need to do.
That's right, in the season of giving. And we want to thank our advertisers, though.
Yes,
Right.
we do.
We have paintedfigs.com, as always.
Yep.
Doghouse Systems, right, our new sponsor. And Terranscapes also is back. As usual. So
baby.
they're back, too. So we have 3 nice sponsors. Please support us by supporting them.
Definitely. You got 3 awesome companies there, so check them out.
Now, speaking of Painted Figs, we had a miniature painting contest.
Yes,
we had a contest to win painted miniatures.
We did.
Is that what it was?
We
Is that-
did.
Is that right, Rafe?
Yes, it was.
Right. And so they've announced the winner. Rafe, who won the contest?
Looks like to me, Jeffrey Bedenbaugh.
Right.
Ball.
So, Jeffrey, email to paintedfigs.com, send them your information, and make sure you tell him the color scheme you want for your Space Marines.
Absolutely.
And he's going to get a fully painted set of the, what is it from, Craig?
The Assault on Black Reach.
Now-
Space Marines.
And Painted Figs will not stop there.
They will not stop
They've
there.
got a new prize.
They've got a new contest up and running.
And what's it going to be, Craig?
The prize for the new contest, which is the same as the old contest, so you just email to...
go to the website.
Yep.
Check out in the contest section. There's a rules there.
And they've ironed that little...
We've ironed out the email thing, but basically you want to send an email to them to get on their mailing list, essentially.
Exactly.
Is what happens.
The prize this time is the Space Orc half of the Assault on Blackreach, which is a lot more models.
Yes.
Okay? 3 Deathcopters, which are awesome, awesome models. I have 9 of them.
Yeah.
And 20 boys.
Yep.
And 5 knobs and an awesome war boss.
Yes. So that's painted to your specifications again.
Painted
what color
again
scheme
to
you want.
your color scheme.
So join on up, and I believe if you're already on their list, you're automatic from the D6 Gen. If you mailed last time, you're still in the hopper for the next one, but check the rules out to be sure about that.
To
But
be
that's
sure.
Pretty much once you're in with them and you sign up to the D6 Generation email list,
and you know what?
in the
You know what? No creativity required.
No.
None.
But now we have another contest going on.
We do.
As you may or may not know, you probably don't unless you really pay attention to the website. The D6 Generation is a member of the Wargamer Radio Network.
You have been warned.
That's right. Now, who is in the Wargamer Radio Network? Raef.
All right, here we go.
It's a
You
quiz.
ready?
Yep.
Pop quiz.
World's End Radio,
Yes.
Dunner.
40K Radio,
Dunner.
Podhammer,
Yes.
Dunner.
the
And
D6 Generation.
the best of all.
Right. That's
Isn't there
correct.
one more?
No, that's it.
Nope.
That's the whole enchilada. And here's the deal. Here's the contest. Each of the podcasts are donating a cool prize into a prize pool.
That would be a pool made of prizes.
That's right. Our donation is going to be a sealed copy, right,
Yes.
of Mutant Chronicles.
Mutant Chronicles.
And
With a limited edition map
Now-
and a limited edition character cards.
Right. Now, the other podcasts are donating something that makes sense for their stuff, so listen to them. But here's the way you win this. You get the entire pool, but here's what you got to do. You got to listen to all the podcasts, get the secret words.
The secret word.
Each
of the
podcast
day
has only secret
is...
words. And you
We're not gonna
email
tell
in the
you right
list
now.
of secret words, and you will then be in the running. There'll be a drawing from the people who email the correct words.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, we haven't gotten emails for that yet, so listen to the next show for that email address or keep an eye on the website.
Yep.
But we can give our secret word out now.
No.
No? Okay, we'll wait till
We're
next
going to wait
show.
in the middle. No,
Oh,
we're
the middle.
in the middle. You
I will
can't.
hide
You
it.
can, we don't want no stinking
All
40K radio fan to be listening to the first 10 minutes of the
I
podcast.
see what you're saying. He's got to listen to the whole thing. Okay, so some point randomly in the show,
You got to suffer for
some
this
voice will come
prize,
on and say something like,
boy.
the secret word is, right?
Kind of like Sesame Street.
Yes.
Snossages.
But the D6 Generation is brought to you by the letter Y, the
Secret
number
word
4,
sauce.
and the secret
And the word snossages. It's
No,
not snossages.
It's not snossages. Do not send in
So,
snossages.
to you Podhammer people who just turned off the podcast because you thought it was snossages.
You lose. Now, so listen later. Now, donations. We had some nice people give some nice donations, probably because we didn't have sponsorships.
Thank you very much.
So, Keith in Canada.
Absolutely. Chris in Indiana.
And Rafe, who's the last one?
Rob in the big AZ.
Right, Rob in Arizona. Thank you very much.
Yep, thanks.
Now,
guys.
again, I failed my iTunes roll.
Which is bad because people are starting to email me about how many we have, how many reviews we have
Really?
in iTunes.
Well,
apparently
we'll have
we've
to-
blown through 100.
Oh, well, I have to. Okay, next episode, I promise we will go
These
through.
these people deserve to be named.
and we do appreciate it because it really helps promote the show.
We
really
totally
appreciate
do.
it.
We're on a steep trajectory, and it's because of all the work you guys are doing. Well,
Right.
I mean, we're doing a little work, but you know.
And yes, a little bit. And now, did you meet any folks at your play?
I did. It's interesting that you should ask that. My play went quite well. Thank you both for asking. Very successful. I actually trashed the big, huge cliff I made today. We were striking the set, and that was emotional. But as a teacher, you get these little...
Like a wall of boobs.
No.
No,
In
what
your
are you-
head, it looked like a wall of
See, we
boobs.
don't even
In
have
real
time-
life, it looked
we
like
don't
I
have
had
time to
actually
explain that
lifted
question.
rocks up on stage. But anyway, so as a teacher, you get these dynasties and you get families of siblings and stuff. And it's very odd because usually if one kid's good, it's a really good argument for nature over nurture, or actually both, because obviously they all have really good parents too usually. Just kids that their whole family, they're all involved in the theater classes and they're all really good kids.
There's a point coming.
There is a point coming. Okay? When I was first a teacher, the very first group of kids, there were 4 kids that went with me basically through, they were sophomores when I first started teaching. And I really kind of bonded with them, and they were really important to me because they really were great kids, and they really gave me a reason to show up, and they really worked hard for me. It was great. It was a great relationship that I built with them, and I still talk to most of them on occasion, meaning once every few years, but and the sister of one of them was actually the female lead in the play. Another great kid that I love. So she kept telling me that her sister Kristen was going to come. It was great. I haven't seen, Kristen was a student of mine for a while until she graduated. Then I worked with her for a little while. Great person. So I was looking forward to seeing her, and she kind of waylaid me in the wing when it was dark, and didn't think I knew who she was, but I did. And she introduced me to her significant other, her boyfriend, the man she lives with. And apparently this man, Patrick, very nice, huge mutton chops, but I mean, he's very characterful.
Thanks for the detail.
Really nice guy. Had no idea who I was and what my connection to his girlfriend Kristen was. Huge fan of the podcast.
Wow, that's nice.
Huge fan of the podcast.
That's cool.
Listens to every episode, and apparently was a little nervous about meeting me. Which I mean, who wouldn't really? I mean, I'm such a huge personality.
I thought Hollywood had the big head. Oh my god.
No, and it was awesome meeting him because he had no idea. He was just a big fan of the podcast, and then found out that we had this connection, and it was great seeing Kristen again, and it was great seeing both of them. It was awesome. I just have one thing to say, Patrick. First of all, here's your shout out. It was awesome meeting you, and anytime you want to email me, go right ahead. You treat Kristen well.
Achievement for meeting Patrick.
There you go.
Pick 2. And one for Patrick too.
There you go. Okay. Look at that. You're into achievements too. Treat her well, not because I'm going to do anything, but because any woman with 3 spinal piercings is probably going to be able to take you out. I'm just saying. Oh, and Kristen, by the way, Kim actually told me that. So I didn't even know you could pierce your spine, but
that sounds dangerous.
She's hardcore, man. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them and say thanks for coming to the play, and it was really nice meeting you, Patrick.
There you go. The D6 generation now with more mutton chops and spinal piercings than ever.
There you go. Than ever.
Okay.
I think I can say that without. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
And of course, we want to thank our friends at Myriad Games.
We do.
So make sure you support your friendly professional gaming store.
Absolutely. Make sure that you do.
All right. So now it's time for
Achievements in Gaming. I pirated that.
Oh, yeah, nice. Totally Take 2. That was good. Well done.
There you go.
Okay. So what have we been playing since last time, Craig?
Well, I made up for lost time. I played Uncharted Seas with you, Russ, and you kicked my butt and sank my entire fleet, and it was really, really sad.
Orcs rule, dwarves drool.
Or at least they did that day. Okay, and then the historical gang, those guys, Bob, and there's 3 other guys. They're great guys.
They play historicals all the time.
Historicals all the time.
Yeah.
So I played Uncharted Seas with them, and we had a blast. And these are hardcore historical guys.
Totally fell in love with it.
Loved Uncharted Seas.
Good. I hope.
And I'm not just saying that because I only lost 1 dwarven frigate in the whole action.
So they enjoyed it even though they lost. That's a good sign.
They did. And after we played Uncharted Seas, we all played Cutthroat Caverns.
Yes, we did.
Yet another time. That was a good fun game.
Yep.
Carcassonne Castle, I played with Karen. She thought she was beating me. I beat her. And then, of course, obviously the game didn't count.
Wife beating. All right. Nice.
Carcassonne, we went over, and actually it was the day that we went over to record a couple episodes of True Blood, which comes up later in the show.
Oh.
And we played Carcassonne and had a blast. We went and we got the expansion.
How'd that go?
The Inns and Cathedrals expansion, which is awesome. And we got the Catapult expansion, which is a total and complete jumping of the shark.
But now, isn't this game involve like dexterity about flipping a catapult?
Yeah, that's the theory. It doesn't. The catapult doesn't really work that way. And if you have little kids, I'm sure it's great. But to be totally honest, Karen was pissed that she
But any game that you shoot at meeples.
Yeah, but
gotta be.
No. I wasn't offended by it. I think it'd be fun every now and then to give it a shot. But Karen was it had nothing to do with
kind of debates
Carcassonne.
Sort of the seriousness.
It does exactly.
Carcassonne.
Exactly.
And now you fired little rocks at your people.
So we played that. We played Pillars of the Earth, Cutthroat Caverns, and A Touch of Evil with Andy and Cherie, and they loved A Touch of Evil. They do. Andy and Cherie own Pillars, so we played that. And they actually, while we were doing the interview, Karen and Nicole were upstairs playing Pillars.
Yeah, I like Pillars.
And Karen loves Pillars.
That was the game Nicole picked that. I mentioned that a couple shows ago.
Yep. And they loved A Touch of Evil. I really think you still need to take another shot at that using the actual rules.
All right.
And then I watched Rafe play Flames of War, and I'm starting to get a little itch.
Yeah, how was your Flames of War, Rafe?
Oh, man, I loved it. It was a lot of fun. It felt good to just dust off those models. And the rules came back to me a lot quicker than I thought.
When you say those models, you mean Craig's?
No. He played his own.
He played his own? You got your own
And do you
out?
remember how well his are painted?
They are amazingly well painted.
He's got a light tank company, and they're beautiful.
Flames of War is when I realized that if I'm not careful, Rafe paints circles around me.
The detail is phenomenal.
I know.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to.
So you played
last time, Russ. I had Craig's British, so I could have an opponent.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
I remember you spilling.
Actually,
Craig's
I'm
British
looking forward to getting the mid-war book, and then converting a little bit my light tank company over to a mid-war company.
So are you back into is that giving you the army scale game you've been looking for?
It
a while
is.
now?
Yep.
Oh, excellent.
Yep.
It's a solid rule set. I like that game a lot.
It is. Yeah.
Yep. We should do something about that.
We should do a Flames of War thing.
We should.
Definitely. You guys practice some games up.
Okay.
That sounds great. I'll take you
I'll
up
fly
on
little
that.
planes where
Not so distant future.
Right. Okay, cool. Now I got a couple games in too. Oh wait, you played Flames of War.
Yep.
I played Dan from Myriad, who we mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Invited Nicole and I over to a secret meeting to talk about stuff, and we talked about Dominion. He broke out Dominion.
What's Dominion?
Dominion is a new game. It's very interesting.
Russ likes a new game.
I'm not sure. Well, let me slow down. I'm not sure about this. Dan brought it out. It's a very highly talked about game on Board Game Geek right now. It's brand new. Everybody's all excited about it.
Yeah, so is Agricola.
Well, yeah, it's better than Agricola. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay.
It's a box, and the box opens up, and basically the whole job of this box is to organize little decks of cards.
Yeah.
So it's a card game, is all it is.
Ah.
But what's interesting about it is all the players start with the same cards, and then through the mechanics of the game, you build your hand from the decks of cards on the table. So there's a bunch of little piles of cards, and you pull from those piles and build your own deck. And then you go through your deck and play different cards. So it's kind of like Magic, but instead of pre-building your deck, you build your deck
and it's part of the game.
At the game, and there's no collectability because all the game cards come to thing. But it's not like a high fantasy Magic type game. It's actually the theme is medieval town building and ownership and that kind of thing.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
It's really interesting. It's interesting innovative mechanics. So I kind of like. I've discovered that although I like card games, I really like games with little cool plastic pieces, and this is not one of those. This is a very card game. The only reason it has a box is to organize the cards, really. But it's really interesting.
You don't like the card mechanic as much.
No, it's not that I don't like cards with my games.
He likes playing with little plastic
pieces. I like little funny shaped guys. Yes, I do like a good card game. I love Race for the Galaxy, but they're fun in small doses. I don't know if I like a whole evening of. I had a great time with it. Don't get me wrong, but I just think I don't know. I like boards and little guys running around. I don't know. That's just me
too.
Yeah. And then also played some Race for the Galaxy. Played more of my Descent campaign. I'll go into more of that some other time. And what else? That was pretty much for me, I think. Yes, that was it for me. I think Rafe added some things. Rafe, do you want to talk about anything else? Or are we good?
No, I want to talk.
Okay, go.
I want to tell our listeners. So, I moved my office this week. I'm tired.
Oh, okay.
I'm exhausted.
You're right.
My butt is sore. So, because I don't have a padded chair.
Yeah,
so
he's a lawyer. He's a lawyer that cannot afford a padded chair, people. That's how.
No, at work I have a padded chair.
So make sure you send donations.
Here at home, I just have a wooden kitchen chair. So you ready for this? I played Flames of War, Warhammer Fantasy Battle. I played War. I played Memoir 44 with Lou. I played Age of Booty with you. I'm done.
Okay, good. Nicely done.
Okay.
A little bit of modeling this week, though.
In the interest of saving Rafe's butt, I finished all the islands and a really cool wind indicator for.
It looked awesome too.
I'm gonna get some pictures up.
The best part about the wind indicator, okay? I just had to tell this little story. So Craig,
come on, he was on a roll.
No, dude, you got to wait. Listen to this. So
this is embarrassing.
So Craig breaks out this awesome board, beautiful wind indicator. Look at this wind indicator, and he puts it. It's this beautiful work of art. Sets the wind up. 30 seconds into the game, he's realized he's misread his beautiful wind indicator and misdeployed his entire fleet to take advantage of the wind. That was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, that's not good.
No, it was really bad.
So sorry, continue with your roll.
Yeah. Anyway, I finished all the reefs and the shoals, and I'm really happy with all of the way they all came out. I finished the entire Dwarven fleet,
Yeah, they look great too.
And thank you. And almost finished the entire Dragon Lord fleet. I just have to touch up the sails and put them in place.
And I'm trying to get my orc fleet done because our goal is next Tuesday to take lots and lots of pictures.
Yeah.
And get them on the web because I know people have been emailing now about Craig's table.
Yeah, I'm
and
hopefully going to have some pictures up on my website, which I'd also like to say is all up and running.
It was having some flaky issues.
It is, and now it's fixed. A bunch of people emailed me about how to do a play-by-email campaign. There's a page about that.
Summary.
There's a summary about that. And I'm also going to start actually posting episodes from the Serenity campaign as I'm finished. And we just finished the final episode, or the scenes, and we finished the final scene of episode 3. I still need that email from you. And, and so I'm going to end up putting all those up on that website also.
Spread too thin.
No.
And,
not Craig.
What?
Not Craig.
Oh, me. Well, yeah.
Oh, and where are we going, Russ? Where's this ship going in the Serenity campaign?
Oh. Well, what I like is our ship is actually Firefly class.
It is a Firefly.
I'm very excited about that.
It's also falling apart, so
Yeah,
don't
which
get
is
too attached to it.
Same
But
as the Serenity.
Hey, I have a modeling project.
what's that?
Yeah.
I built a whole block of zombies.
Oh,
Nice.
did you really?
Nice.
Yes.
This-
And I mixed them with Empire Swordsmen.
Is
for
this
my team.
before or after?
I was going to say.
Yeah, before or after your game?
Before.
Where you before?
Because we discovered, Rafe mentioned on Tuesday after he played Flames of War, then he played Fantasy.
Yep.
And you told me what after both these games?
Well, I wanted to see which one was tickling my army itch, and it's Flames of War. Right
So
now.
Fantasy is sort of like off the table right now for you, isn't it?
For right now, yeah.
Okay. But it'll be back.
But when you come back, you've got a really nice block of zombies.
It's always there for you.
Exactly.
It's like an old lover.
There you go. So we're going to Deadwood. That's the thing.
Okay. Last and other news, we did the Serenity campaign, and also I had a nice casual Xbox night on last Friday on Thanksgiving. Played Carcassonne online and Age of Booty, just nice little board games online. Good fun.
I have other news.
Yeah.
I had such a rough week.
This bullet could only be a Hollywood
This
bullet.
has to be a
This
Rafe.
next bullet.
I baked myself chocolate chip cookies.
There you go.
Like, bake
Achievements
myself
on
cookies.
other
All right,
news.
there's the
I
achievement
baked
unlocked.
myself cookies.
I baked myself cookies. Take two.
I
They're
had-
small.
Actually, I had 3 of them tonight.
Nice. Do they help keep your butt from being sore? That's what I want to know.
No,
No,
they
but they
probably
make-
make it worse because it's bigger.
Make my tummy feel.
There's more gravity to pull down into
Right.
that hard wooden chair.
Okay. Well, that's achievements.
There's achievements.
You're listening to the D6 generation. We just love playing around.
Need to add a big unit to your current force and don't feel like painting that many grunts? Or maybe you want to start a new army and really don't have time to paint it up. That's where PaintedFigs.com can help. For 3 years, their staff with over 20 years of experience in the industry have been providing gamers with high-quality, affordable paint jobs on miniatures from the most popular games, including Flames of War, Warhammer 40,000, Fantasy, War Machine, Hordes, and even a variety of board games. Their full-service packages include the cost of the models themselves at wholesale prices, assembly, painting, and basing. Because they're able to get the models wholesale, you end up with a package appearing on your doorstep full of ready-to-play models at only the fraction over their retail price. Their name says what they do. PaintedFigs.com. High-quality miniature painting at the lowest rates on Earth, even with shipping. Be sure to let them know the D6 generation sent you. And now, what's in the news? Time to choose. Tabletop Gaming News is right in the middle of their annual Reader's Choice Awards. Be sure to head over to tabletopgamingnews.com and vote for your favorite categories and make sure that your favorite games get the recognition they deserve. Epic Previews. Privateer Press is showing previews of some of their new Epic Warlocks coming in the new Hordes expansion. Early reports seem to indicate that the Thagrosh epic form is truly impressive. Perhaps it's time to take a look. More DACA on DACA. DACA.com has recently unveiled their new photo gallery system. The features include bulk upload of high-res pictures, the ability to zoom and drag, great search capability, free hosting, galleries, voting, comments, and other social options. Head on over to DACA.com and check it out. 'Tis the season. With the holidays fast approaching, Be sure to check your local game event calendars for Toys for Tots events. Organizers in many game systems run tournaments for this great charity. Why not make sure your game counts for more than just a win? If you don't have time to game this December but still want to help, check out the Toys for Tots drive going on over at 40kradio.com. They have a rather unique way for gamers to contribute. And that's what's in the news.
This RVR is going to be great. I can't wait to show this Chaos Scum the might of my Ironbreaker. Here I go. I've got him targeted. That Black Ark is moving way too fast. There's too many people on my screen for my ancient PC. Oh, no. I'm screen locked. Now I have to reboot. I'm just going to bed.
Raef, don't grip your pillow at night in PC frame rate paralysis. It's time to level up.
Level up? I can't. My damn computer's too slow.
That's the point, doofus. With a Doghouse System PC, you can have just what you need for the best in MMO play. Play your game at the highest settings, experiencing the very best frame rates available, and all at an affordable price. Now go back to sleep.
When I wake up, I'm going to www.doghousesystems.com. It's time to get in the house and level up.
In Warhammer Dark Heresy, you serve on the front lines of a secret war. Arm yourself with lasguns, inferno pistols, chain swords, and power blades. Become an acolyte of the Emperor's Inquisition. Steel yourself against the foul stench of heresy. Venture to distant planets. Explore ancient space hulks. Uncover dark conspiracies. And purge the unclean. Battle against the twisted influence of chaos, and your name will be revered for millennia as one who stood resolute and brave in the face of a dark heresy.
Hi, welcome back, and now we're going to do our interview with Ross Watson from Fantasy Flight Games. Welcome, Ross. We really appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Craig. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for coming on, Ross.
Absolutely. I noticed from your accent that I was probably a little wrong on my pre-interview research, and I want to ask one quick question first.
Oh, no.
Are you or are you not also Ross Watson, the German gay porn painter?
No, that is not me.
Damn, internet.
That's definitely not me.
Well, I do have to, I mentioned doing my research at school yesterday, my firewall violation records are now far more embarrassing than they used to be.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Holy cow.
Nice.
I mean, I'm telling you, I've hit some strange little speed bumps in my day, but German gay porn painters was a new one for me.
There you go.
Okay, so anyway, in your own words, Ross, see, I'm going to keep doing it.
It's one letter different. You got to watch that.
Mr. Watson.
In your own,
Mr. Watson.
Mr. Watson, that fits. In your own words, Mr. Watson, tell us the Ross Watson origin story. Where do you come from, and how did you get where you are today?
I'm excited.
Okay, well, again, I'm definitely not a German porn painter.
You probably want to repeat that a couple more times.
I want to thank you, especially thank you for putting that out to all the listeners now. That I have a namesake involved in such things.
A lot of German listeners, they might be confused.
That's very true.
That's true.
We want to differentiate for our friends in Germany.
Let's clear it up right now. That's not me. Well, I've been involved in the gaming industry for about 8 years now as a writer and as a designer. I was in gaming as a gamer ever since I was 12 years old. My dad gave me the red box of D&D for a birthday gift.
We remember it fondly.
Oh yeah, it was so cool. And it was just a great ride from there to go to things like Rifts and TMNT and Robotech in the 80s and 4th edition Champions and Traveler and Star Wars, the West End D6 system. And I just basically role-played my way through junior high and high school up into college. I didn't actually encounter Warhammer 40,000 until I joined the Army. And some guys... Go ahead.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Thank you. Some guys in my unit actually wanted to show me this cool game that they were playing, and I fell in love at first sight. And ever since then, I've been just a 40K nut. Played since 2nd edition. Collect all the freaking novels that exist. I have tons of models.
So you'd know who Dan Abnett is then?
Oh, I totally do. Yeah.
Check.
He's an awesome guy.
What's your current army?
Well, my favorite army, I have several current armies.
Yeah.
My favorite army is my 13th Company Space Wolves.
Nice.
Nice.
Brother Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
Now, once I got through the German porn thing.
You can't let that go, Ken.
I can't. I'm sorry. I did notice that you've got a lot of stuff on your resume there, gaming wise, and it looks like a lot of your early stuff was D20 stuff for a company called Citizen Games.
That's right. That's where I got my start as a professional. Was with a company called Citizen. They were a pretty fun little company. We worked on some products that you may or may not have heard of. 1,000 Faces was our kind of our biggest thing, which was an NPC book for the 3.0 D&D system.
Oh, okay.
Citizen was a cool company, but unfortunately didn't last too long because of the uncertainty that happens in the industry, especially around that time, and it kind of fell apart. Gotcha. A few years later, but it was a good launching point for me to get my foot in the door in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. Now, I noticed there's some interesting genres that you worked on. Not only the D&D, but you also had some Wild West stuff on there. Wild West and steampunk and epic fantasy. I've been involved in a lot of different genres of gaming. I have a pretty eclectic tastes when it comes to that. As I mentioned earlier in my history, I just about played everything that's out there, from Deadlands to Feng Shui, you name it.
Cool.
That's awesome. And that probably really uniquely set you up for the 40K universe, which is just such an amalgam of so many different genres as well. Yeah, the totally cool thing about Warhammer 40,000 is it's just not afraid to steal from everything. Right. And it just has all these really cool, little bits and homages to things you've known and seen in pop culture and in books and in fantasy movies and sci-fi movies and other games. And they blend it in. It's really interesting how they kind of blend it into this pastiche that involves all these different things and make it into their own thing. Yeah. And that's what, drew me around. And then I got super lucky. And you probably saw this on my resume too, that I ended up working at Games Workshop as part of the U.S. White Dwarf team. I did see that.
What a nice segue. It's like you knew it was coming.
It's like you knew the next bullet point.
I read ahead.
There you go.
Ross, I don't know about you, but, I'm very well known at the White Dwarf magazine.
Oh, God.
Are you really?
I'm published.
Very popular letter to the editor.
Which particular one was yours?
I did the Word in Your Ear column.
Oh, yeah, that was really good. And I had to fight for the name of that column, actually.
Really? Oh, no kidding.
With my editor, because he thought it was a little too, apocryphal. And I said, no, you don't understand. That's the name of an ability that the Calidus Assassin has.
Yeah. Right.
And it perfectly fits in with the style of doing an editorial for 40K, because that's exactly what it is. It's a word in your ear. So and he goes, all right, and he let it go. And I'm really glad he did. And I remember you now. Yeah, that was really good stuff.
Well, Raef had one in there, and then it kind of started a firestorm on DACA, and then the other DACA contributor got one in there, and it was like, all the DACA guys are reading every other word in your ear. So that's cool that you started the word in your ear concept. That's
there you go. It's
like
a circle.
Cool. See?
Well, I helped. I didn't come up with the idea off the bat, but I do take credit for one thing. If you guys were readers of White Dwarf around the 300 issue, I think from like 299 to 312, I think.
Absolutely.
Yep.
There was a series of articles called Only War, which were tactic articles, for various. That was all mine.
Oh,
from start to finish.
Those are good.
Thank you. I worked really hard on those.
Yeah, actually, in the last episode, we talked about how much we liked those
and then we missed
types
them.
Of articles.
So more
of
those.
All right.
Yeah, we really do.
Yeah, definitely.
That is great to hear. Thanks, guys.
What other sorts of things did you do at White Dwarf?
Well, I kind of started out as writing copy for marketing stuff, like the the Games Day posters and brochures and things like that. And they needed guys at the time to generate content for Black Gobbo, which had just got launched. That was their
right. The online one.
You guys know all about that.
Yep. It's an online web.
Once I got started, we're talking over each other. Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I'm just for listeners that don't, because we do have a lot of non-GW and non-40K listeners. What is the Black Gobbo?
Okay, what Black Gobbo is, or maybe what it was, I'm not sure if it's still doing the same thing that it was back then, but in 2003, they started this thing called Black Gobbo, which was a sort of a free online magazine with different articles on everything from playing the game to painting your models to new scenarios to play your models with. And it was cool because it was sort of a way for the guys in the U.S. studio and the web team to generate more content, more game stuff that you wouldn't get in White Dwarf, and just put it out there for everyone to look at for free. It was a great advertisement to bring people to the site.
Yeah, it was. There's a lot of really great. It actually was more like the stuff that used to be in White Dwarf slowly moving to Black Gobbo almost.
Well, I'm sure they'll be pleased to hear that.
Right.
The guys that worked on that, Ken Kennedy and Ty Finocchiaro and Brian, and I forgot his last name now, but the editor for the web, those guys worked really, really hard, and I was very happy to help them out with whatever I could.
It was great fun.
I ended up writing, I think, 26, or maybe even more than that, I forget, different articles for Black Gobbo, and that's where they were like, well, maybe we could use you on White Dwarf. And I was like, hey, sure.
Very nice.
I can do that.
Cool.
And so before you know it, I'm sitting down and reporting on battle reports, taking down all the information, then writing it up later. And they handed me some articles to edit, and then they said, well, if you want to do some ideas for the magazine, you can make that happen. And I said, sure. So my proudest moment for like writing stuff besides Only War, because God knows I love that, was in issue 300. There's a Kill Team campaign called the I think it's called the Renegade Tech Priest or Renegade Magos or something like that.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Yep.
I kind of remember that too.
Renegade of Mars. That's what it's called.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Sorry guys, you're asking me to think back like 5 years now. So
come on, man, it's like yesterday.
Come on.
And that was pretty awesome to do that. I was kind of the Kill Team guy for White Dwarf when they needed any kind of articles or ideas or scenarios. That was they called on me to do that.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And now you worked at White Dwarf for a couple of years, you said?
That's right. Between 2003 and 2005, I did a lot of editing and writing and contributions to the U.S. White Dwarf team.
Cool. And then did you go straight there to Fantasy Flight, or was there another intermediate situation?
Intermediately, I was a freelancer, freelance writer, freelance editor. I did some stuff for Wizards of the Coast. If you've seen, I think it was Complete Divine. I worked on that for 3.5.
Yep.
And I got my foot in the door with Fantasy Flight just a little bit before that with Sorcery and Steam, which was one of their Legends and Lairs books about steampunk. And that was a really, really great, fun thing to work on. But then they had this big setting competition, if you recall. Wizards of the Coast had put out a competition for everyone to submit a setting idea. And the top 3 guys got to come in and give a really big pitch and got like a cash prize. And then of those 3, 1 went on to become Eberron.
Oh, cool.
And of the 3 pitches that didn't quite make it, one of those was called Dawnforge. And Fantasy Flight picked that up to make a book out of that, a D20 3.5 setting. And I got tapped to contribute to that, and that was prior to this job, that was kind of my high water mark of being a game designer, because it was really awesome. They're like, here's a map, here's a big chunk of space, fill it in with whatever you want.
Nice.
And that is an unbelievable opportunity.
That's really cool.
That is cool.
Yes. I'm jealous.
So how did the final leap to Fantasy Flight occur?
Well, I saw that they were looking for writers for some various freelance projects, and I said, well, I'll just throw my hat in the ring, see what happens. And the freelance project, I didn't really hear back from that for a little while, so I contacted Fantasy Flight and said, hey, what's going on with this? And the next thing I get back from them is, how are you at writing for Warhammer 40,000?
Wow.
And this was right at the time that they had picked up a license from Black Industries for Dark Heresy. And I kind of got headhunted a little bit there. Because they saw on my resume that I'd worked for White Dwarf and done a lot of stuff with Games Workshop, and they said, okay, and you wrote something for us that won a gold Emmy in 2004. I think you can work for us now.
You're in.
Oh wow, that's fantastic.
Well, that's awesome.
So
I got really lucky.
Yeah, so they knew ahead of time that they were looking for the GW stuff, and they went and they sought you out from your prior experience and your work for them. That's great.
It was just a serendipitous collection of good fortune that I think made it all happen, and I am really in the most awesome job I can imagine right now. So
yeah,
that's great.
Me too. I can't imagine a much cooler job either. Now, speaking of that job, what were you brought on like originally right from the start as the senior RPG developer for this project?
Yes, that's right. They hired two guys. They hired a one for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay and one for Warhammer 40,000 Roleplay.
Yep.
And I was tapped to be the guy for Warhammer 40,000 Roleplay.
That's great.
So when I got here in June, I kind of hit the ground running. They handed me two projects. They handed me Disciples of the Dark Gods, and they handed me Creatures Anathema, and said, okay, we need these to become books. Go. So yeah, it was really, really cool to say, all right, now I'm going to make books.
That's great.
And the best part is now these books are actually on the shelves. Disciples of the Dark Gods is on the shelves now, and just looking at that and seeing, man, I had a real hand in bringing that to life. It's a wonderful feeling.
That's great.
Hey,
now,
Russ.
Go ahead, Russ. Raef, whatever.
Were those, when you say we're going to make books, do you mean they're novels, or are you talking about the rule books?
These are the rule books for Dark Heresy. And for those of you who don't know what Dark Heresy is, Dark Heresy is a role-playing game set in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. It is a game of investigative horror set in the dark future, where the player characters take on the roles of acolytes in the Inquisition, seeking out corruption, heresy, and cults to do battle with in the name of the Emperor. And that's basically what Dark Heresy is about.
Yep. Actually, back in episode 5, we did a review of it, and we're going to cover that in a second. But
I got a whole bunch of questions on that, too, yeah.
For a second, though, I want to go back and, explain for us a little bit about, what your job as the senior RPG developer is for these projects. Are you the primary writer, or is it more of a management situation?
Great question.
It is a good question. I like to think of it as being like a game master.
Nice.
In a normal game, the game master will set up the storyline. He will create the NPCs. He will guide the players along the story and help work with them collaboratively to create a narrative that encompasses the vision of what the game is like that they have all contributed to. In the senior RPG developer position, I do the same thing on a macro level, where I take a vision for a book and I communicate with the artists and the writers and those teams, and I myself collaboratively create the vision, make the vision of the book come to life. I do a considerable amount of writing and layout and art direction involved in all that, but it is, I guess, overall a management type position.
So you're more the plate spinning guy. You're making sure everybody's doing their job and staying on the dates and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it also sounds like he's choosing the patterns on the plates.
Oh, sure,
and, who's spinning which plates and what direction they're spinning. The more you talk about it, the more it becomes, to me, it seems even more and more a dream job.
It is a real interesting difference to go from a game writer and a game designer to a game developer, because you've been on the other side of that. You've received the writing assignments and you've said to yourself, okay, this is what they want me to write, and then you write that. And now you're on the other side and you're saying, okay, who's the best guy to write this?
Yeah.
And you farm out the assignments, and then you look at various artists' work and you're like, well, I need a vision that feels like this, and then you work with them to bring that to life. And it's a combination of those two, and then the layout, and then there's so many aspects to it that I had no idea, and now it is a really interesting seamless mesh of the things I was doing before and the things I'm doing now and the things I'm moving ahead to in the future that make this position so interesting.
That's awesome. Now, when you first started with Fantasy Flight, and you said they gave you Disciples of the Dark Gods and Creatures Anathema. Now, so going from this point, now that those are done, are the projects that are coming up now, are they more coming from you, or is there still some driving force above you that's kind of like saying this is the direction we want to go in next, or more maybe made just like a timetable, or like what strictures are you working within now?
Okay, well, there's various influences that occur. I have a great deal of influence. I get to basically decide, well, this is what we're going to do next.
Awesome.
In the broad sense. But there are, I have a boss and he has a boss, and there are certain things that they want to accomplish, that also have to go and be part of that tapestry. And there are, commitments that Black Industries made, that we are, trying to live up to as well. It's a big challenge to put this all together into a coherent mix. But I think we are navigating through that with exceptional care and exceptional skill, and some of our writers have really nailed that, I think. And you're going to see that in Disciples of the Dark Gods and Creatures Anathema, and the upcoming stuff that we have for Dark Heresy and other games in the future.
So you mentioned like different people have sort of influence on where things head. How does GW? How much influence does GW have over your creative process? Does everything get run by them for approval, or is there a certain level of approval, or how much are they involved with it?
Okay, well, that's a good question. Games Workshop does own the IP, and it is them who give the approvals on our books. But that having been said, in a specific sense, when it comes to the setting for Dark Heresy, they gave us a little sandbox. They gave us the Calixus sector of space, and pretty much we can do whatever we want with the Calixus sector. We can put almost anything in it. Anything can happen to it. The doors are wide open for what happens to the Calixus sector in our hands. And as we move forward, there's going to be more things that we're given to pretty much do as we please within those parameters.
Okay.
Now, does one point in your effort of working with this, does it stick out where GW was particularly helpful or supportive in a concept that you were building, or like an idea that you had, maybe?
Oh, absolutely. I work very closely with Games Workshop licensing to make sure that we're all, contributing to the Games Workshop's overall IP, because that's what makes Dark Heresy and drives the Warhammer 40,000 roleplay in the marketplace. And that means that they give me all the support that I can ask for. If I need to look at one of the new Black Library books, they will send one to me. If I need to get art pieces from a particular codex to use as reference material for an artist, they will make that happen. They've been exceptionally good to us as far as supporting Fantasy Flight and making Dark Heresy a true success.
Excellent. Have there been any points where you started to feel maybe an impulse or excuse me, an instinct in one direction, and they sort of tried to pull you back into their original view?
Well, yeah, there's always going to be, whenever you get two people in a room, they're not going to agree on everything.
Right. Yep.
So,
right.
Now the good news is that we agree on all the big points. Every so often there will be, some issue that'll come up, and we'll discuss it. And the good news is that the Games Workshop licensing guy is Owen Raef, and he is a fantastic guy to work with, because if he says that there's an issue, he'll explain why. He won't just say no. He'll say no because. Oh. And 99% of the time, I'm like, okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
And every so often, if it's an issue that is important to us, we will also tell Owen, well, we think this is a good way to go because. And it's a great relationship that's been springing up between the two entities as we go forward.
Yeah, it sounds like much more of a give and a take in an adult relationship rather than, I know a lot of people, some maybe even in this room, have a sort of a dark view of GW corporate in general, and might in their heads think of it more as a dictatorial sort of, Russ is giving me looks here.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Of course not. But no, I think it's great to hear that their relationship with you is so positive and interactive.
It's very comforting to me. That's for sure.
I can imagine. Now I want to go back a little bit to one of Raef's earlier points and give you an opportunity to rebut a couple of our initial impressions of the Dark Heresy way back when we did it in episode 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the three of us are huge fans of the 40K fluff and the artwork and everything like that, and we absolutely loved the book from a physical point of view. And then there's a couple issues of taste, mainly, where in particular I found the game to be very mechanical and table driven.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the game that you inherited, so that's just from like I said, that's a taste point of view. A lot of people enjoy those games that have more tables and things like that. I think the one thing that stuck with us was it's almost the like when you're playing D&D or whatever, and you're a first level character, you're pretty much a peon, but built into that storyline, that narrative, is eventually you're going to be the lord or the high, magic user or whatever. And it seemed to us, anyway, that at least in this first book, that with Dark Heresy, you are sort of almost stuck in a peon track where there was always going to be this guy above you that was going to be giving you these orders and things like that. Like how would you address a person who is feeling like where's the freedom or the ability for growth within the game framework itself?
Okay, well, as you said, I mean, it's important to note that this is a system that we inherited from Black Industries, and a lot of decisions that they made, we kind of have to live with now, whether or not we would have done it that way ourselves. So keeping in mind that there's certain legacy issues that moving forward we sort of have to keep going with in order to make it feel like it's part of the same game setting, I would say that you are correct that in Dark Heresy you generally are playing, I guess I would say, tier 1. Yeah. You're playing a normal guy who has been selected by an Inquisitor who says, you look like you might survive against the forces of chaos for a little while, so I'm going to give you a chance to prove yourself.
Here's the last pistol.
And,
good luck.
Yeah. Good luck indeed. It's a very dangerous...
Not even an auto pistol, it's just a las pistol.
Very dangerous galaxy out there, so yeah. But that having been said, there's a couple of things I would say address that point. And the first one is that there are many different ways to play Dark Heresy. You don't have to necessarily be acolytes to an Inquisitor if you don't want to. There are people who are using the game to play as members of the Guardsmen who are all in the same unit, or people who are using it to play sort of kind of like gangers on Necromunda, if you will.
Yeah, right.
That's good.
And that's one thing. But the second thing I would also say is that we at Fantasy Flight definitely understand the concerns about that, and we are looking to address that as we move forward. I have plans for a book. I really can't tell you more than this, but there are plans for a book that will come out later in 2009 that will take characters from the level that they're at in Dark Heresy and move them up a tier. They will grow in power to the promise that I think Dark Heresy gave, that you will be the right-hand man of the Inquisitor.
Oh, cool.
And interrogators and stuff, and we will make good on that promise.
Good. Now, we have a machine that will actually get you to tell us that later, but right now we're willing to let that slide.
Nice.
It's one of those little flying cherub angels.
It is.
Yeah, it's one of those skulls.
It'll be showing up at your window any second now.
My armor is the armor of contempt.
There you go.
He knows all the little lines at the bottom of the 40K book.
You don't want to mess with this guy.
He has the Imperial Guard primer open next to his computer.
I do. I actually do.
See?
That's excellent.
All right.
Good. Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. We'll talk about that in a second. For those of our listeners who are just starting to get into this and may not know the current status of the Dark Heresy, what if we go to our local friendly professional gaming store?
Right.
What are we going to find on the shelves right now specifically?
Well, there's the books that I think everyone knows about right now, which is the main book, the Dark Heresy Core Rulebook, and the Fantasy Flight edition of that. I should tell you is I think a better, higher quality one than Black Industries one.
It's shinier.
I bet it is.
We have included the 1.0 errata when we published that book, and we also I think we made it. Shinier is a good way to put it. We upgraded some of the artwork, particularly if you look at the frontispiece when you first open the book. Yep. The Black Industries version is a little lower quality than ours. Mm-hmm. Then also on top of that, we have Purge the Unclean, which is a set of 3 adventures of intrigue, action, and horror set in the Calixus sector. Those are very interesting adventures that lead you on a path from a noble spire on a hive world to a space Hulk and beyond.
Nice. Take that, Dead Space. Oh, sorry, wrong IP.
It is a cool set of adventures. And then there's the Inquisitor's Handbook, which is a player's guide that includes a lot of new player options, new careers, new backgrounds, new equipment, and some expanded skills and rules to play the game with. And the thing that Fantasy Flight did with the Inquisitor's Handbook and Persia and Clean, I almost forgot the Game Master screen. There's also Game Master's Toolkit.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing that Fantasy Flight did with all three of those products is that we made them all hardback and full color.
Nice.
So if you own the Black Industries version of the Inquisitor's Handbook or Persia and Clean, you can go and get the Fantasy Flight version, which is all the grayscale and black and white pictures that we could find a color picture for. We replaced it with a color picture.
You own the wrong book now.
Yeah, I do. Now, are you saying like with the Game Master's kit that I have, the pamphlet that I got with mine has now been replaced with a nicer book?
Okay, in that specific case, we didn't actually replace the book. The book is pretty
liar.
But the Game Master screen is a much more high quality. Yeah. It's a linen finish. It's almost bulletproof. It's very, very, very strong.
Fantasy Flight. It's always
which is good when you're playing role playing with 40K because you never know when somebody's going to pull a bolt pistol on you.
See, that's cool. And it's full color again. You've listened to the show before, Ross. I'm telling you, I'm so about the full color thing. And
it's
Workshop
true.
never
Games
does
Workshop
full color.
doesn't seem to care, or well, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say that it's a stylistic choice, maybe, but it's not one I understand.
Or maybe the cost, right?
You also really like full color here at Fantasy Flight. So
yes, you do, and we like you because of it.
All the board
we do as much as we can afford.
That's right. That's cool.
Okay, so right now we've got those on the bookshelves, right?
Those are the ones on the shelves, and that just came out.
Yep.
Is Disciples of the Dark Gods, and that should be, if it's not on your store shelf right now, it will be very, very soon. It's already on shelves here in Minnesota, and I've heard of other people saying it has shown up. Disciples of the Dark Gods is a really, really great book, and I know, full disclosure, I am biased in my opinion.
You may or may not have written it.
But I didn't write it. Alan Bly and John French wrote it, and these guys are top writers for Dark Heresy. These guys really get the grim darkness of the far future.
Excellent.
And Disciples of the Dark Gods is a player guide. It is both for players and GMs. It is a collection of conspiracies and cults and secrets, and it includes some really neat stuff like tech heresy is covered in it. There is the Logician cult from the Edge of Darkness adventure. A lot of people really like that because the Logicians are tech heretics who follow the tech heresy of progress in the 40K universe.
That's bad right there.
That is interesting.
This sounds like it'd be fun to read, even if you're not an RPG guy, but you're a 40K fan, just to see all the fluff and the.
Well, that's how I felt about the book, the initial book too.
Yeah, Disciples of Dark Gods is totally chock full of awesome fluff for a 40K fan. There is some, of course, there's some great chaos cults, but we also have some really interesting alien conspiracies.
Oh, cool.
And the final thing that I do want to talk about with Disciples is the adventure in the back is pretty damn awesome, in my opinion. It is called The House of Dust and Ash, and to give you a taste of what it's about, it is a auction of various unusual items owned by an infamous rogue trader. And as you might guess, the Inquisition is a little interested in what those might be.
Uh-huh.
So they send you to visit this place, and there's like a ride on a skyship, and there's void shields, and there's mountains exploding, and it is just
cool.
It is a very incredible adventure. I think it's probably the best one we've published to date.
That sounds great.
I
Now,
gotta check that out now.
Now, when you're talking about the aliens that are the alien cults that are included, are those all the standard aliens we know from the codexes, or are you bringing any new alien races? Basically, are the Hrud?
I was going to say, are the Hrud in there? You beat me to
Are
it.
the Hrud making an appearance?
It's their sector. He said so.
The Hrud are not in Disciples of the Dark Gods.
Come on.
We do not have Hrud, but we do have...
squats. Squats are back, right? It's squats.
Now you're...
Yes, but no. It is the Slough. It is there's creatures that are they're called the Worm that Walks. There are these strange, bizarre aliens from beyond the halo stars that were in the booklet for the GM screen, actually, for you who have that. And they're behind some pretty sinister plots. And there's other aliens involved as well. But for the classic Xenos of the 40K universe, you're talking about the Eldar and the Orcs.
Yeah.
You're going to want to look at Creatures Anathema because we wanted to give them something that would do them justice. And unfortunately, there just wasn't enough room in Disciples of the Dark Gods to include everything you need to know what the Eldar are, to know what the Orcs are. And we actually moved a couple of creatures. We moved the Gene Stealers out of Disciples and into Creatures Anathema to give them that better treatment.
Yep.
We didn't want them just to be a stat block.
Right.
Gotcha.
So now you can fight. So with creatures, you'll be able to fight Orcs and Eldar and various other things from the comic.
Well, that is a great segue into Creatures Anathema.
Excellent. Russ, it's almost like you're a professional.
Or something.
Yeah.
Or something.
Or you play one on a podcast.
That's right. So go ahead. Yeah. So what's up with Creatures Anathema? What can we expect from that? And when's it coming out?
Okay, well, it's coming out.
Anamthana. How do you say that?
Anathema.
Okay.
It means like bad.
Ah.
That would be bad things.
Yeah, bad guys. The bad guys.
Bad creatures. Okay.
If you're the Imperium, of course, if you're an Orc player, then clearly they got the name wrong.
Well, that's the key question that we have to ask: is will Russ be able to play an Orc?
Let's let Ross talk.
Sorry.
Okay.
Creatures Anathema is coming out it just went off to the printer back in a couple weeks back, so it should be on the shelves in February, I believe, early February, late January. And Creatures Anathema is a bestiary of aliens, beasts, and demons for the Calixus sector in Dark Heresy. So it includes a wide variety of things. Orcs are definitely in there. We are all big fans of orcs here at Fantasy Flight. We like orcs a lot. Daka, more Daka, needs more Daka.
Excellent. My kind of guy. See, I like Ross.
There's a sound clip right there.
There it is.
So
Ross, never mind. I was going to make an IP joke, Russ, but
let it go. Let it go.
Yeah. So anyway, Creatures Anathema.
As with things that need more Daka, they need orcs. And we have orcs and we have Gretchen and we have knobs and we have a discussion of orc society and clans and just what you need to know to have an orc and fight an orc in your game of Dark Heresy. The Eldar are also present. We have a specific Eldar, a Corsair who operates in the Calixus sector, a Corsair pirate prince, if you will, along with other Eldar characters. And I think that you, Russ, might particularly enjoy knowing that I fought very hard to include some classic creatures from the Rogue Trader era. So the Amble and the Enslavers
nice.
Part
That's awesome.
of the Creatures Anathema book, and you will find their stats in a very see, the thing about Creatures Anathema, we didn't want to do just stat blocks of monsters. We didn't want to do your typical, will I get in trouble if I say monster manual?
I don't know. We just did. Too late.
Okay. So, hopefully, no offense to those guys, but we didn't want to do just basically stat blocks with a little description. Creatures Anathema is a collection of, on the surface, is a collection of reports from a particular Inquisitor who has been traveling the Calixus sector and gathering up all this information about the various threats that you will explore. Because he has lost many an acolyte along the way. And so each creature has a detailed description of what it is, along with adventure seeds that you can use to place it into any campaign of Dark Heresy that you're running, along with notes from the Inquisitor to give you a good history or background. And if you want, you can actually pull those out, or you could photocopy them and use them as player handouts if you wanted to.
Oh, cool.
Very cool.
That sounds like a great concept.
Yeah, that is a neat concept.
I agree.
The other thing that we added, we added two other things. It's not just, all monsters all the time. We added a section on death worlds of the Calixus sector, because as an old 40K nut, I love the concept of death worlds. Everything from, Luther McIntyre to, the jungle guys on, I can't remember the name of it now. What are those? Catachans. Yeah, Catachan, the Death World of Catachan. Right. Those have always been things that I really, really like. So we have a chapter on Death Worlds of the Calixus sector, and some monsters you will find are Death World creatures from there. And then the very last thing that we added, we said, okay, now you have all these monsters, and you have Death Worlds that they come from. the next thing that you need in a really great book about bad guys is you need a chapter on how to use bad guys. So the last chapter in the book is on how you take adversaries and place them into your narrative in Dark Heresy. When to bring out the boss, when to bring out the minions, how to ramp it up, or when to bring it down. It's a section that was provided by a veteran of mini gaming genres. Sean Patrick Fannin wrote that for us. And it includes a chart of like random things you can roll on because people who play Dark Heresy really like random tables.
Yeah.
It includes some random things you can roll to sort of ramp up the enemies if you want to. If you don't want just an orc knob to be the main boss guy, you can make a few rolls on the table, and all of a sudden it's an orc knob who's got a logic implant somehow from a mechanicus, and maybe he's got a natural intelligence for an orc. Nice. And then on top of that, maybe he's got a custom with a K, cyber limb, and now he's a little more interesting than your typical orc knob bad guy boss.
Very cool.
And that's what we set out to do with Creatures Anathema, was make a very definitive bad guy book.
That sounds like another must-own book, even if you're just a 40K fan.
I know. Now, the question is there a Grox in there?
Grox are in the main book, actually.
Oh, that's true. Oh,
nice try. See?
Wow, I'm pathetic.
He's got you covered on that one.
Okay. Wow,
awesome.
You're quick, though. Ross is just right there with
he's
the
got
answers.
his lore down. We can't get him.
Yeah,
There's no tricking him.
I'm not going to try.
Well, you can't trip me up on Creatures, because that was the thing they handed me when I first got here, and I was so freaking excited to get this book that I just I've been obsessive about it. And this is the first book that Fantasy Flight has done from start to finish. With Disciples, we received the manuscript from Black Industries before us. So with Creatures, we really wanted to make our biggest goal was to make a good impression on the people who have trusted us with the stewardship of the license.
So Creatures is what people, Disciples, just to be clear, you guys got it pretty much done but not bound up. But you made it pretty, put it together. Creatures is what we should look at to see what to expect from Fantasy Flight in the future in this line, basically.
I think that would be an excellent example. I am super proud of this book, and I think that it will be a shining example of the kind of quality that Fantasy Flight is going to bring and intends to bring to the rest of the Warhammer 40,000 roleplay line.
That's great.
Hey, Ross. With the Creatures book, if somebody wanted to, or is there a plan for the future for someone to be a PC orc?
Well, that I can't really comment on.
Okay.
The options are open at this point in time for maybe not. That's all I can say right now.
Okay. And the cherub hasn't showed up at your window yet? If you could look.
just crack the window. Just
let him in, Ross. Just let him in.
So, what can you give us any tips to what might be coming after Creatures?
Yes, we have. Well, if you have been following us at all, at Gen Con last year, we announced that Rogue Trader was coming in 2009
with some really cool posters.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so you are aware of it. That's great.
Absolutely.
So yes, Rogue Trader is coming in Gen Con 09, and that is going to be a completely different experience from playing Dark Heresy. And that having been said, we are continuing to produce. We are going to continue to produce Dark Heresy books. It's going to be like its own separate game. So there's going to be Rogue Trader and Rogue Trader books, and Dark Heresy and Dark Heresy books, and we will keep supporting Dark Heresy throughout the course of our stewardship.
Oh, that's great.
Oh wow! So it's a different game system. So it's not like some other companies. Like it's not like Forgotten Realms versus Greyhawk. This is like two different systems, or is it really just two different ways of playing?
We were committed to making the games compatible because the 40K universe is just so big that no one game can encompass all of it. Right. It's impossible. So with Dark Heresy, which is a narrow but deep slice of the setting, which is the Inquisition, or I should say even a part of the Inquisition, then you have Rogue Trader. Rogue Trader is a very broad but shallow, if you will, approach that allows you to kind of go anywhere, do anything. But there is a core experience to Rogue Trader that will take you into a different part of the galaxy. It'll take you outside the Imperium. And you will pursue wealth and the acquisition of power. You will be Cortez in space.
Nice.
Is Trader. And then, games after that will be different, but they will all be compatible. So a Dark Heresy character, if you're playing an assassin in Dark Heresy, you can become a member of a Rogue Trader's crew. You can join the Death Watch when they come around.
Cool.
And all these characters will be able to interact as you go.
Excellent. Now, is that laughter I hear in the background, Ross?
I hope not.
There was no... Raef, are you watching TV?
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. But anyway.
That might be some guys in the hallway.
That's what I thought. I think there's guys in the hallway laughing, Ross. And aren't you at work?
The skull might be there.
I am at work, yes.
What kind of work do you have? You're laughing in the hallway.
Well, it's a game company. What else can I say?
Thank God for that.
It
now,
is late.
when we're talking Rogue Trader, so I think you've answered this, but I think you've done it slyly, and I'm going to try to pin you down just a little bit. Rogue Trader gives us outside of the Calixis sector, right? So now we're spreading the net wider for our stories and maybe leaving room for a lot more stuff to come in.
That would be a accurate way to put it.
Excellent. See how I did that? Excellent. And is there now if the cherub's there, if you could just grab the red paddles for a second, that would be great. Okay. Are you going to be able to be a rogue trader?
Yes.
No. See,
look, the paddles
that's
work.
easy. Look, the paddles work great. Okay. What are the next 5 books? No. Well, that's awesome. That just got me all jazzed up.
Now
right
it's like
there.
now there's going to be spaceships and stuff.
Yeah, that's
jeez.
very exciting. Okay.
Spaceships are going to be a really big part of Rogue Trader. I think that's not giving anything away.
Yeah, I think you have to, right?
See, there you go. All right, now
Different races spaceships too, right?
There will be more than human ships that you encounter.
There you go. We're all working together here. It's good. It's good.
It's a group effort.
We like to.
I feel like at any minute you're going to ask Ross if he ordered the code red.
You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the orcs.
Do you want answers?
So, and you mentioned the Death Watch. Now, does that I have never felt this desire in any way, shape, or form, but I know there's a massive movement on the way. I don't want to. I don't get it. But are you saying like somewhere in the future, in a distant, hazy future that we're not going to pin you to at all, but there's plans somewhere down the road maybe for people who want to play Space Marine characters to do that?
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Death Watch is all about playing Space Marines. You will be playing Space Marines if you play a Death Watch game.
Gotcha. Now, cool. So that's after Rogue Trader. The next major section is Death Watch, or
that is the plan.
Gotcha. Okay. See,
Nice.
I think that's new.
Paddles are working. All right.
You just hold on to those paddles.
Don't let go.
Well, as I said earlier, Black Industry has kind of made a commitment to doing these three games.
Very true.
And when we took stewardship of the license from them, I felt it was very important to not let people down on that promise. So we kind of made that decision early on that we were going to go ahead and fulfill that promise.
That's awesome. And that also gives us a little bit of a map to work with, which is great. Can you give us just like maybe a little insight into other supplements that you think that as the designer might like to start developing, sort of like areas that you think players might be able to work with?
Oh, there are so many. The Calixis sector alone has very, very many places that I would love to visit and develop and design and do things with. Right now, John and Alan, our head writers, are working on something called the Harlock's Legacy, which is actually a trilogy of adventures that are epic and definitive for the setting, and they are going to help tell the story of the Calixis sector.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and that'll be coming out. That'll also be coming out in the. It's targeted for March.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to be the first of 3 that happen in 2009, and that will take your acolytes on an interesting journey through the Calixis sector, visiting some of the more interesting places and learning of the secret history that leads to the destiny of all this, the complete destiny of the sector.
I don't think you could design a game system better situated to get not only role-playing gamers but just fans of the 40K universe to read it. The way you're presenting like Creatures Anathema and Disciples of the Dark Gods, the way they're being presented is much more in keeping with that theme and the milieu that you're working with, rather than just, like you said earlier, like the Monster Manual books that are set up more like research books.
Well, we talked about my history, and I've been throughout the whole gamut. I've been a miniature gamer, and that's what I love to do. And I played Epic and Warhammer 40,000, and I played Kill Team, and I played Necromunda, and I played Battlefleet Gothic, and I loved all of them.
Yep.
And I've been a role player, and I've played all of the D&D games, and I've played all the things we talked about earlier. And I've been the guy who's read all the books and the novels, and I see it from all these different perspectives. Now, what Fantasy Flight does, we make games. So our books are going to be games and about playing games. But that doesn't mean that they need to be any particular style. And the style that we're presenting them for Dark Heresy is we're presenting them in the style that Games Workshop has made classic for the IP. We're presenting them in it immerses you in that universe.
Right.
And that the very first thing that I do whenever I'm working on any project is I want to make it feel like you're there in the grim darkness of the far future. 5 minutes to midnight. Yeah. The Emperor is looking over your shoulder. And that's what I want to do with every book that we make.
Well, it just sounds, not only is that a very laudable goal, it sounds like they picked just the right guy for it, too.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you very much.
And, I'm just trying to keep those paddles firmly in hand. Now, I saw on your website that you've got this contest going right now, right? The adventure contest?
That is correct.
Could you share some of those details with our audience?
Absolutely. I would love to get the word out about this. There is a Dark Heresy scenario contest running right now. The deadline is January 6th for getting in your submission, so get busy. The prize is you will receive a signed copy of Creatures Anathema, and we will publish your adventure.
Wow.
The winning adventure will get published on our website, and it will be shown to the world as, this is the winning adventure of the contest.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
See, what happened was Black Industries was running something similar right before they went away. And again, this is all linked in this big tapestry of the changeover from Black Industries to Fantasy Flight. And I felt it was important to make a connection with our fans and give them an opportunity to contribute to the setting, which Black Industries had started that as well. And we actually had a little poll of what would you like to do to contribute to the setting, and the fans themselves chose a scenario contest.
Oh, that's great.
So this is what they wanted, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what we get in. So if you have an idea for a great Dark Heresy adventure, turn it in. Definitely, I want to see it.
That's great. Now, are you having a good response to that right now, or can you tell how many responses you've already received?
I will not tell you how many responses I have received,
okay.
But I will say that I would like to see more. Definitely.
Gotcha. Okay, so you heard it there, guys. There
Sounds like there's a reasonably good chance to be in the top few.
There you go.
So start submitting.
Your chances will improve if your adventure is set in the Calixto sector, and there's all sorts of guidelines that are on the webpage.
Yeah.
Just go to it and look.
Definitely go check it out. And another little thing that you've just been recently working on is a full errata for everything that's out right now, correct?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Another thing that is important to me, having worked for Games Workshop for a couple of years, is timely FAQs. And I think Yakface would totally be behind me on this.
I think he would.
He would totally be there.
I'm a huge fan, by the way, of Yakface. If you ever see him again, tell him he's got a big fan here.
We will.
Yakface.
So following in Yakface's footsteps, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get some errata up and address the issues in the rules that we had been able to identify as we'd gone on to that point. And we made some decisions along the way to change the way that some of the rules work in order to help make it feel like you're in the 40K universe. Some of the decisions, like my favorite one is what we did with bolters and sniper weapons. To make them feel like they work on the tabletop, because I think it's almost impossible to separate people who understand and have played for Warhammer 40,000 on the tabletop. They're going to have some expectations. They're going to have some understandings that are going to want to cross over, and you just can't. I don't think there's any way to completely divorce from that. So I've kind of embraced it to some extent, and I've tried to make it feel like if you're firing a bolter, that you'll understand that bolters do more damage than an autogun, more damage than a lasgun. They will mess you up.
Right.
Yeah.
So the errata, made them all tearing, which means when you roll damage dice, you roll 2 and you pick the highest, which went a long way towards making that feel the right way.
That's great.
Right.
Well, it is a little missile that explodes when it hits you. So
mass reactive shell. Yes.
Small hole in, big hole out.
Actually, small hole in, big hole inside you.
Yes.
And just like Yakface, we're going to commit to doing more of those as we go forward, and keep currents, keep putting them out in a timely manner. My plan right now is to basically do one every 3 months if possible.
Wow, awesome. And
we are trying to get one together now for the Inquisitor's Handbook. And put that one out as well.
That's great. Now, is that cultural at all? Because you must be getting a lot of support for that sort of thing at Fantasy Flight, where they're so responsive to their fans.
Well, it is definitely part of the Fantasy Flight culture. Quality is built into everything that we do here.
Right.
We set out here, Fantasy Flight, to make the best games that we possibly can make, the best games in the industry, and it's a big goal. It's a challenge. But it really motivates a lot of what we do here, and it motivates me particularly to bring as much of that attention to detail and quality to the books that I can.
Right, and that's exactly what brings such loyal fans to Fantasy Flight. I think. We count ourselves as
I have yet to have a bad Fantasy Flight product.
Shameless fanboys.
That's right.
Pretty much.
That is awesome. So if I can plug one thing, I would.
Oh, absolutely.
Android is our newest, coolest board game.
Odd that you should mention that.
I was just begging these yahoos to go play it with me next week.
Yeah, we have a test game scheduled.
Oh, that is fantastic.
We're very excited about it. I've already perused through the PDF online. Go check it out, everybody.
So tell us about it, yeah.
Well, to be honest, my knowledge of Android is kind of limited because I've been exceptionally busy handling Dark Heresy and Warhammer 40,000 roleplay line. But you can't work at Fantasy Flight and not hear about and get involved with some of the big things that are happening around the office, and Android was definitely one of those. I would say that probably the coolest thing about Android that I know of now is the movies that have been put together on our website that you can go and download. And they will tell you far more about the game than I will ever be able to say. It is an investigation game set in a future with where crime did not change. Everything else did.
It sounds to me like it's like Blade Runner in a board game.
Yeah, that's not a bad way of putting it. But again, I'm not the expert of Android.
But here's the most impressive thing about that game, if I go on the side. The most impressive thing about that game is you guys kept a total lid on it. There wasn't a single rumor about it, nothing. And all of a sudden it's like, by the way, we've been working on this thing for the last however many years. Boom, here it is, and it's out next week.
Yeah, that
was impressive.
We were sneaky that way.
You're good at so many things that Games Workshop's not good at. And I've got one final. I want you to hold those paddles tight now, okay? Because I feel kind of guilty doing this because I feel like you've already thrown us several bones. But is there one tiny, infinitesimal little piece of information that you could possibly drop for us that nobody else knows yet?
Here you go. Hold the paddles tight.
I've already kind of done that a couple of times.
That's why I'm going to
get in trouble.
No. That's why I'm going to let.
Fired.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go because I really think I do. So if you could just open your window and let Charlie out, that would be great.
Yeah. Come on home, Charlie. Good work.
Yeah. And no, that's great. Ross, do you have any final thoughts, or is there anything we haven't covered that you'd like to touch on?
Well, I think that people should go out and definitely check out Disciples of Dark Rides if they haven't already. They've been waiting for a new book for Dark Heresy for a long time, and we are very proud of it. It's a very good book. I like to compare it to Delta Green Countdown, if you're familiar with that at all.
No, what's that?
That was a book about Delta Green was a book about modern day Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu,
gotcha.
With a conspiratorial sort of Who Killed JFK approach, where you were all playing members of this shadowy government organization. And the strength, I think, of Delta Green was that it presented all of these secrets of the great old ones and so forth in a really interesting, realistic manner. And it put you, this is the thing I love about gaming, it immersed you in that subculture of paranoia. And Disciples of the Dark Gods does kind of the same thing. If you are a member of the Inquisition and you put yourself in that mindset, there's some things here would scare the heck out of you.
Yep.
There's some real, particularly some of the things like the Slough and their plans for humanity, which are not good.
Nice.
And the logicians, the logicians, the Tech Heresy logicians seems like, wow, that would make sense. Why isn't everybody doing that? And then you'll start to see why they are sort of, this is Tech Heresy, folks. It's not a pretty thing. There's also some great new rules for the game that people have not seen before. There's going to be rules for demon weapons in Disciples of the Dark Gods. And I love demon weapons.
Yeah.
So everybody does.
You got to keep those radicals happy.
Oh yeah, well there's a radical inquisitor on the cover with a big flaming demon sword. So yeah, totally. There's rules for sorcery in Disciples of the Dark Gods. There's new psychic powers, and there's new demons, and it's just a lot of really neat things for your players to run into. It's also the first glimpse you're going to have at some alien equipment. Now, one of you said you were a fan of the Hrud, is that correct?
Oh, yes.
Now, the Hrud themselves do not appear in Disciples of the Dark Gods, but the Hrud Fusel is...
Oh, very nice. That's a large gun, that Fusel.
It's a really nice, long gun that shoots some pretty strange energy that will mess you up. So definitely check that out. There's other cool things in Disciples. I mean, I could just go on for hours, but it's an excellent book, and for the people who've been waiting for it, now's the time to go out and look for it because it should be on your shelves very, very soon.
Well, I think that's great, and I also think it speaks so well from you that considering there's been people waiting 20 years for a 40K role-playing game, that after several months you're saying, these guys have been waiting forever for a new book. That's the perspective we want to see now with this project.
Thanks, guys. I do my best.
And it sounds like that's more than good enough for me.
Right.
So, well, thank you very much, Ross, for giving us all this time.
Thank you, guys. It's been a real pleasure being here. I'd love to come back sometime.
We'd love to have you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Ross. Bye-bye.
Today's Hollywood Minute is sponsored by Lou and Ben and Jack, my nephews. Today, as the holidays draw near, I thought I would share with you my favorite holiday tradition. This tradition was started by my father. On each Christmas morning, Santa would leave an envelope with my brothers and my name on it. This envelope would be placed on the Christmas tree, and the tradition goes that after all the presents were opened and after the Christmas breakfast was eaten, mine was cream cheese and lox on a Works bagel, and is still my favorite today. But anywho, after breakfast, we would reach up to the tree and pull down the envelope to see what note Santa left us. And inside this envelope was some kind of puzzle or riddle that had to be solved in order to find our last gift. What was great about this was there was still one more present to be had, and even better, a game was afoot to find it. This present is not necessarily the most expensive or the biggest gift. No. This last gift was always the most fun to play with. I now carry on this tradition in my own house. It does not matter the age of the child. For example, my 2-year-old, well, she may have to find her baby Willa, who is in the playroom, to find her last gift left by Santa. For my son, he may have to read and solve a treasure map. So for this holiday season, I recommend you sharpen your pencils and make puzzles for Santa. Well, that's my story.
For terrain that will bring your tabletop gaming to new heights of realism without compromising playability, visit Terranscapes.com. Terranscape's range of high-quality, handcrafted terrain allows gamers to create a complete dioramic battlefield from the table up, or add that special centerpiece to an existing table. With customization available on current products, custom work for unique projects, videos of work in progress, and detailed multi-view photos of the entire range, it is easy to see why so many Terranscape visitors become repeat customers. Terranscapes, pushing terrain to the edge of reality.
Can you hear it, everyone? The famous Welsh song, "We will keep a welcome in the hillside." And of course, here in Wales, we will keep a welcome in the hillside, because there's no way you're coming into our houses. Well, here we are, everyone. Another edition of Words from Wales, coming at you at Christmas time. Nadolig llawen, pawb. Nadolig llawen I chi gyd, a blwyddyn newydd dda. That is, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you all. From me, Owen, here in Wales, to you wherever you are. Isn't it a great time of year? And to celebrate this great time of year, I have decided to have a little contest. Now, I heard the wives were going to have a little contest last time, but they didn't quite get to it. So I'm going to beat them with a little sucker punch, straight in there with a contest of my own, with a prize being a magnificent unit of 20 fully painted and based Black Orcs for the game of Warhammer, the Games Workshop Black Orcs, that I have used myself in the Big War in Memphis, Tennessee, and also in the Alamo GT last year. They have been brilliant servants to me, but as this is Christmas, I will give them to you as a gift, my friends across the world, wherever you may be. But before that, I'm not going to just give them away. Oh no. For this will be a quiz, a Welsh quiz, to see how much you have learned about Wales in the last few weeks when I have been talking to you. So, what I have is a list of 5 questions, and you will need to email me the answers to these 5 questions, either via email at owenstaton@aol.com, that's Staton, S-T-A-T-O-N, or you can Skype them to me at my name of Owen Rufus. So here we go, a Christmas giveaway. The first of 5 questions. Remember, they need to be correct answers. They're not too difficult, and you don't need to be creative, but they are there. You will need to look for these answers. First of all, question number 1. Who was the Welsh actor who played James Bond? There it is, folks. I have mentioned it on the Words from Wales. If you look back over a couple of editions, who was the Welsh actor who played James Bond? Question number 2. One for the arts here, one for the arts. In Shakespeare's play, Henry V, where Henry leads an army to Agincourt in France and fights a great battle, there is one very important Welsh character in Shakespeare's play, Henry V. What is his name? Have to look for that one, won't you? Question number 3. For all you sporting fans, which I will get on to a bit later. Who is the current captain of the Welsh rugby team? Who is the current captain of the Welsh rugby team? Question number 3. Number 4. In Welsh mythology, the Welsh prince Llywelyn had a very, very famous and loyal dog or hound. What was his name? That is question number 4, my friends. And number 5. I have been very lucky to appear in 3 episodes of the renowned Welsh-made BBC drama Doctor Who. One of the episodes I appeared in, you can look for me if you like, was called The Runaway Bride, filmed here in Wales. The answer to the question is, you must find, what was the name of the actress who played the Runaway Bride? So there you have it, 5 questions, just 5 answers to me at owenstaton@aol.com will get you this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful unit of 20 Black Orcs, painted wonderfully, flying across the world to wherever you may live. Now, I would like to be able to put these on film so you could see them, so nice that they are. Or maybe I will have to email them a photograph that maybe Russ will put up on the D6 Generation website, because unfortunately I do not have a video capability at the moment, unlike Jeff Carroll of Podhammer with his wonderful Vodhammer, which I thoroughly enjoyed the other day. Yes, Vodhammer, which really brought it home to me, something that I had thought of for a long time, is that, Jeff, you really have a very, very good face for radio, my friend, yes. But there we are. I enjoyed Vodhammer anyway, even with your radio face. And, of course, since I'm on the subject of my friends from Oz, I cannot not mention that beautiful game of rugby that happened the other week in Cardiff, where I happened to be, with the Australian rugby team in their green and gold jerseys turned up to be utterly humiliated by the Red Dragon of Wales. Never mind, boys. You go back down under, and as Privateer Press would say, come back when you have a pair. Nadole Clowen, all of you. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope that Santa brings you all the games that you could possibly want. For me, it's going to be a touch of evil. Will it be good? Will it be bad? I don't know. Well, I would know. I've listened to the D6 generation. A touch of evil for me. Merry Christmas, all of you. It's going to be a great New Year. Enjoy it, my friends. Enjoy it.
Hi, I'm Spencer.
And I'm Philip.
And we're the hosts of 40K Radio. Each episode, we cover the world of Warhammer 40K, including tips and tactics, news, product reviews, and our take on it as well, no matter how warped or twisted it may be. So grab a beer and go to 40kradio.com to check out the world's #1 Warhammer 40K podcast.
40K Radio reminds you to drink hard, game responsibly.
When wives attack.
Hello, this is Karen, Craig's wife.
And this is Nicole, Russ's wife. And this week we are going to first talk about our new website that Karen got squared away and I did a little teeny bit on.
It is. You did some. It is, again, thewives.webs.com, webs like spider webs. And you have to put it in your address. You can't search it on Google or anything. You have to actually put it in to get there.
Do some typing.
But we have some people who signed our guest book.
Woohoo!
Nash is always emailing, and so he was the first person to sign the guest
Nash.
book.
Little golf clap for Nash. Yay.
Yep. And Bennett and Tom and Trevor.
Was Trevor the one who asked? Trevor asked us a question, and it was, should he buy an MP3 player for his wife for Christmas and
to get her into
gaming? Trevor, no.
Buy
an MP3 for your wife if she really wants one, and buy her some iTunes gift cards or something. But don't put that on there.
And don't use Christmas gifts to get your wife into gaming.
That's a bad call because then you're setting yourself up for your last Christmas, boy. Yeah. So don't do that. And so
and your last gamer wife.
And your last gamer wife. So MP3 player, yes, if she wants it, with the intention of getting into gaming, not so much. Yeah.
So that is the website. You can check it out. We'll be updating it and stuff like that. And we are going to give some shout outs to our emailers. Red Dog Mike, who said he's getting sequence for his, I think it was his nieces and nephews.
Yes.
For Christmas, because he's done with Operation and Perfection and Hullaboo, which I've played Hullaboo.
Have
you ever played
I have,
Hullaboo?
yes, I have. Thank you. I have played that.
We also got emails from Paul, Klaus, Nathan, Tom, and Norbert. We'll be talking about Norbert in a little bit. But we're not going to get into
nervous, Norbert. It's nothing bad.
Yeah. We're not going to totally get into the email today because
we have had so much email, like oodles of it, and really good, like good questions, good topics, and we don't want to take over the guy's show. I mean, as much as we say we want that, it's world domination. We really don't want to. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a little bit of email during each episode, have a regular topic, but then we're going to have a mailbag, maybe like in between episodes. All of a sudden, you'll go to look at your downloads, and poof, there'll be an episode that's just a mailbag with us talking about just the wives, talking about the emails that you guys have sent. So it'll be just devoted to answering all of your questions.
So people like Paul, Klaus, and Tom, and Nathan, who emailed us this week, we're going to save those questions because they were really, really good questions. We want to give them, the time
that they deserve.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to save those, and in a few weeks, you can look for a mailbag, and it'll be just us.
Yeah. So that'd be cool.
The first spinoff. Okay. First thing I'm going to talk about is some games I played. I want to give a shout out to Patrick.
Yes, you're missing a shout out.
Giving a shout out to Patrick.
Hi, Patrick.
Who was at Craig's play. His girlfriend's sister was in the play, so we got to meet him, and he was
Which I hear went very well.
Yes, the play went well. Mm-hmm. The play went very well. It was actually really, really good this year. It's good every year, but it was different this year. So, okay. I will start with my favorite Carcassonne.
No.
Played with my dad. Stopped by Myriad Games to try an expansion, and we bought 2 expansions. The first one, which is Inns and Cathedrals, which I highly recommend.
You like that one?
Yes,
okay.
Especially if you've played Carcassonne for a while, because it just adds a little, more things to score or whatever.
Right.
And it just adds a little bit more fun, so it's not the same thing all the time. Makes the game longer. Much longer. It adds
she's holding up her hand much longer.
We were like, that was longer because it's like 18 tiles or something. So it's 3 more, 6 more rounds of one round. So it does, and it makes it much more complex. It's a totally different board, but the same game. So if that's what you're looking for, it's great. It is a great way to, spice it up a little bit. I would not recommend the catapult.
She had issues here.
I had issues with catapults. Doesn't really have anything to do with Carcassonne. I give it a big thumbs down. It just doesn't have anything to do with Carcassonne. It's just it looks like I don't know how to describe it, but it's literally a catapult, and you catapult things into the game. I would not recommend it if you actually really like Carcassonne and the game it is.
Didn't
the
fit
catapult
with the game.
Just doesn't fit into the game.
Gotcha.
That's the last I will ever speak of the catapult.
Ooh, wow. Okay, it's dead to her.
Got to play A Touch of Evil again. If you remember, I mentioned it the first time. I didn't know if I liked it because Craig and I played it alone.
Did you play it just the two of you, or did
no?
you have a bunch of
We
people?
played with the infamous Sheree and Andy. Loved it. I had a really good time.
So more
playing
people
it.
made it more fun.
Yep, 4 people. Now I will play it with Craig alone, but I needed that first time playing it with everybody to make it more fun and pay attention and realize what I was doing. But if she likes Carcassonne, oh no, that's what I'm saying about Pillars, not Touch of Evil. But Touch of Evil is good. It's a little bit like Betrayal. If she likes Betrayal, she'll probably like Touch of Evil.
Okay.
There is fighting with dice and killing monsters and stuff like that. But
did she like that, Sheree? Did she like that?
Yeah, I think she did.
Oh.
I think she did. And then we played Pillars of the Earth, which you have mentioned, and I loved it. They pulled it out. I didn't even know they had it, and they said we have Pillars of the Earth, and I was right away like I want to play it because you mentioned it,
right?
And I loved it. I wanted to play again, like in a row. It's similar to another game I liked, Ages of Empire. I think.
Okay.
I don't know, but you can.
I think I almost bought that game.
That's a heavy-duty
last time
game.
I was at the game store, and I think that's what Russ kind of talked me out of a little bit.
Yeah,
like, that might be a little bit more than you think it is.
The same type of thing where you each take a turn to move and put a guy somewhere, and then at the end everything happens right at the end of the move. I think if she likes Carcassonne, she will like Pillars of the Earth.
So see, I have not played Carcassonne yet. I still have not played it, so now that's another recommendation. I don't know why. I'm avoiding it or something.
What's going to happen is it's going to be like too overhyped now. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's like that big movie blockbuster. You're like, man, it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be from the previews.
But if you know how guys are always looking to get them to the next game, I think it's a good if she likes Carcassonne, I think it's a good next one. And I've said do Carcassonne after like a sequence and stuff like that.
Right,
and go
some
to
of the more
Carcassonne,
standard stuff.
And I think you can go to Pillars of the Earth after Carcassonne. Now, I played it with 4 people. Looking forward to trying it with just Craig and I.
Yeah, I played it.
It's a different
the
game.
first time I played it, first couple of times, I just played with Russ. And it was really fun. I liked it as a 2-player game. But then we played it as a 4-player game. And it was completely different.
Mm-hmm.
It took a little longer, of course, because there's 4 of us, and you have to, think a little bit more about what you're doing. But the strategy is very different because there's so many places where you can put your little markers on the board. That when there's 4 players, well, you're going to use up every single one of those spaces. So you really have to think about it because someone's going to take it if you don't take it. When there's 2 players, you're not going to use up all those spaces. So the chances there's 2 really good ones. Well, okay, you each can get those, and then okay, there's enough space for you to put anything anywhere. So it's a lot less pressure.
Yeah.
But you do get to play a little more. I don't know, like cutthroat, like because there's cards that you can, there's cards that you can purchase at the beginning. You get these little cards for how many wood or how many stone or how many, I forget what the other one is, the different like resources that your guys have. And metal, that would be it. The blue one, the blue cube, metal, and there were times where I didn't need those, and I knew like there was something that Russ really wanted. I looked at what he had. I'm like, oh, that's going to make it so he can win. And I just bought it so he couldn't have it.
Yep.
Which was awesome.
And
but
in a 4-player, you can't really do that.
You can't because you have to go for what you need, or the other players are going to. But I didn't. I could do it this way because I'm like, I'm going to be able to get what I want, but I can also steal that from him. So
now, would you recommend? I would recommend playing it with more people first. But I don't know what because I felt like now I really get the game and all the different things that can happen and the strategies, and now apply it. Do you have a?
I don't know. I think you could. You know what? I don't think it was. It definitely wasn't hard to play with 2 people. I mean, it wasn't one of those that when it was scaled down to just 2, you were feeling like, oh God, this is too complicated with just the 2 of us because the movement doesn't work or the way the turns work feels funny. It worked out okay.
And it looks like more than it is. Like when the game first comes out, there's a lot of pieces. It really is. And it's not. It's one of those games.
In fact, we were playing with Craig. It was Dave and somebody. Boy, that's horrible. I can't remember who was sitting at my kitchen table and I was playing with. There's so many games.
I blacked out from all the gaming.
That was too much for me. But they hadn't played before, and when we took all the pieces out and have all these little
Craig,
men, it was
Craig had played. This
and we
wasn't
had
Craig's
like all the
first time.
pieces all over the table, and he was like, "Wow, that's a lot." And these are gamers. These are these are guys who play. And I think it was Dave was like, "There's a lot on this table," and I'm like, "Oh, it's." And he
really
won, so he may have just been using like Jedi mind tricks on
Another
us.
reason why it's a good game. I forget who won.
No, I know Dave won.
I think Andy won. I want to say
Stinking
Andy won.
Dave. Yeah.
Craig,
But it was fun. That's a good time.
I really liked it.
I did not win, and I would still play again.
And I didn't want it to be over because it's only 6 turns.
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
Which is something I don't usually like is those turns, but it wasn't totally bad.
No, and the turns you're doing a lot. Like the turns move pretty quick. Like there's a lot that happens in each turn, but it's like boom, 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 boom. It goes through. It's not like you're waiting forever for the person next to you to make their move. It goes pretty fast once you start going. Once people, it's like you play one turn. I really feel like you play one turn through, and everyone's like, I get it.
Yes, exactly.
And then the rest of the turns, you have more of a feel for what you want to do and the strategy. So it's like the first turn's kind of a wash.
And even if it takes you that first turn, you're not like lost for the game. Like I was right in with everybody. I think it was like 3rd out of 6 or I don't know, 2nd out of 4th. Like I was right in with everybody, even though that first turn or two, I'm kind of still getting
you
used
can
to
be
it.
a little off on that first
there.
turn, and even if you weren't quite sure and you're just kind of going along with everybody, it's not one of those you played that turn, you think, oh, I totally messed that up. There is no way I'm going to win, and then you're kind of aggravated because you're just kind of in there as a a player, and you can't win. You can still win, even if you're just kind of playing by the seat of your pants that first turn. So yeah, I like it. And I like the little I call them meeples. The little people. The little
tiny,
people.
Yeah.
They have these little teeny tiny little wooden cutout people, and then slightly bigger wooden cutout people that stand for more people. And they have little markers for the cathedral that you build the little cathedral, which is really just a way of keeping track of your turns. It doesn't really mean anything. But that's fun. I thought it was cute.
I need to jump back to, you just reminded me, one of the good things about the expansion on Carcassonne, the Inns and Cathedrals, is it gives you another set of meeples. So it's a 6, it goes from a 5-player game to a 6-player game.
Oh, so that's cool. So
that
plays
helps.
More people.
Yeah, it plays more people.
That's
so that
cool.
comes with the Inns and Cathedrals expansion. The only other thing I was going to mention is I'm now in a zone where we're playing so many new games that I like to play a game out. And
she's sick of it.
We came home after playing Pillars of the Earth and A Touch of Evil. And Craig, the very next day, was like, I think I'm going to look online for Galaxy Trucker. And I'm like, no. I said, I'm not. I told her, I said, I'm not.
They played that same night.
I'm like, I played Pillars of the Earth once. Like, I want to play again. Like, I don't, if we get one more game, the other game goes on the shelf. And it's very irritating.
That is one of the problems. You know what? That's a good thing.
That's never happened before.
We have so many games coming in from the podcast, from us wanting to play games, from me wanting to play games and hearing things and getting referrals from people online and all this kind of stuff. And like, there's a lot of games. It's almost like I play it and I learn it, and then I'm like 2 months later, I'm like, how do I play the game again? Because I only got to play it twice, and I can't remember.
I remember, I've talked about Betrayal a bunch of times, is we would play that 4 or 5 times in a night. Like, we played that so much. And then I was done and ready to move on. Like, I want to play Pillars and I want to play Touch of Evil. And he's, like, already on to the next one. And
so maybe that's a tip. Once you get your girl into gaming, make sure you give her a chance to really play that game. If you find one she likes, don't jump to the next one. Play for a while.
I think I'm not going to play Galaxy Trucker.
Why?
It's
fun.
I don't know. Now don't get me wrong, I've never seen it. I know nothing about it.
It's a fun little game.
I know it's called Galaxy Trucker, and I might be all set with that.
Oh, no, it's not. There's not a CB radio and a Smokey.
That's why I'm not a
anything,
gamer. That's why you know I'm not a gamer, because I'm kind of like, I don't know.
It actually is kind of fun. You get to, you get to build a spaceship with little cards and put on extra. I'm so not convincing her at all. She's looking at me like, yeah, and give me a reason to play.
No, because I liked Battlestar. I did.
Yeah, see? You liked Battlestar Galactica.
I'd like to play again, actually. I played like twice. Until these new
She'd like to play that game one more time.
Before it goes away in the garage. Okay. Let's go to Norbert.
So Norbert and I were chatting back and forth via email, and he asked a really good question. We talked about this, I think, our very first episode, which Karen pointed out was 3 minutes.
Our first segment was 3 minutes.
And it took us like
and
forever to figure
very
out.
Fast.
Yeah.
We're like, I think that Craig should.
We were a little nervous that time. Now we don't care. But he was talking about finding balance with your significant other. And I'm like, well, you just have to make rules, or come to agreements. I'm going to play for 10 minutes, or I'm going to be here for 2 hours or whatever, and then the guy has to live up to him, or the girl feels kind of cheated. Like, you told me this and you didn't live up to it. Now you've lost my trust, and now I'm aggravated. And we were going back and forth on it. He's like, yeah, but that seems like that should be so easy for, you make an agreement.
It does seem like that, doesn't it?
Like, you made rules when you were a kid. Your parents said be in by 10 or you're grounded. You were in by 10 or you were grounded. Well, if you tell your wife you're going to be home, come home or have a really, at least call and say, hey, hon, I'm running like something, but guys, it's like more than, and he had his email, he said more than like arguing about rules or the playability of a game or the expense of a game, you hear guys talking about, my wife or my girlfriend thinks I play too much. It really is like the single biggest complaint.
Yeah, would be my not complaint, I don't mind at all, but if I could, one thing that I would like to tweak is and I said it on the first segment, was if you say you're going to be 20 minutes, be 20 minutes.
Right.
Because I need to plan. If we're going somewhere, we're doing something, okay, I'll be up, or if you're cooking dinner.
Or forgetting.
Yeah, okay, I'll be up in 20 minutes.
Right.
And, okay, well, the dinner's ready in 20 minutes, and now it's 35 minutes, and I'm a freak about, your dinner's getting cold, and I got to heat it up, and I want you to eat it when it's hot, and so, and I think I said on the first segment was, set your cell phone alarm. Like, set something, and if it's 20 minutes, be 20 minutes, and don't be aggravated at her. You said 20 minutes.
Right.
Like,
if you think 20 minutes is not enough time for you to finish your gaming or whatever, then tell her an hour. That's okay, but just, gosh almighty, don't be telling her.
Right.
Just live up to what you say, because it's just.
She'll be less aggravated.
Yeah. In general, women would rather have you say something she doesn't want to hear to begin with, like, oh, he's going to be playing that longer than I think, than to think you're only going to be a little while and then be sitting there waiting, going, where the heck is he? I cut my day short to be here for him, or I cut this activity short or that activity short, and now he's still having fun, and I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs waiting for him to get home or to come upstairs or whatever.
And if you say I'm going to be 20 minutes and you're half an hour, well, the next time you say I'm going to go to paint, she's going to be like, oh, now every time you go to paint, she's going to be aggravated. But if the time you say you're going to be, she won't be aggravated. You mean it. Yeah, she won't be aggravated.
Well, and then he was saying, too, he's like, okay, he was like, we're going back and forth via email, and he said, but how come how hard is that? We all can tell time, we all can do this. And he said, why do girls get so mad? I said, well, I think there's a little bit, he's like, touch this at your own risk here. I'm like, okay, a little peril. It's a little bit of a security thing. You don't want to be, no girl, no woman wants to be second fiddle to anything in her man's life. Yeah. Whether it's his job or his hobby or his muscle car or his Xbox or his gaming habit, whatever. You don't want to be second fiddle. So I kind of think sometimes if you're constantly gaming and your wife's or girlfriend's like, it's like, don't make your hobby your mistress. Like, they need to know, she needs to know that you're first. The girl is first. And she should be, guys. She should be first, okay? She should be first.
Even if you know that she is, you have to show her that she is.
And tell her that. Say, you need to verbalize and demonstrate that she's more important to you than finishing painting that model for the big tournament on Saturday. Even though that's a priority, she needs to know it's not taking her place, because I think sometimes it sort of almost feels like they get some wives, and I've talked to some wives that are friends who shall remain nameless, that said, God, it's like that's all he did all weekend, and it's aggravating because you sort of feel pushed aside, and you're supposed to be important because you're the wife or girlfriend. So I think you can't let your game become your mistress.
No, I think on the other side of it, just to stick up for the guys for a second.
Yeah.
Craig plays every Tuesday night.
Right,
and
so does Russ.
That happened, 25 years ago, whatever.
Ago.
So when we first met, he said, this is what I do Tuesday nights. I don't touch that. I think in 6 years, there's been 3 Tuesdays that I've been like, please, come home. And one was my birthday, so I don't even know if that counts. So, and one was like a week. So in 6 years, it was like 3 Tuesdays that he couldn't be there because of me. I don't ever touch his Tuesdays. I can have a family birthday, and I don't even ask him to go.
Because it's Tuesday.
Because it's Tuesday. And that what happens, because I do that, and I don't mess with it, is if something extra comes up, or he's gaming too much, he's more apt to be like, do you mind if I go, or I'm not going to go, because there's another part that he gets to go that's never questioned, and it's never touched, and it's his time.
I agree, because Russ has that Tuesday night thing too, and he and Craig have been doing it, I think, this pretty much the same amount of time back years ago. And I rarely ask. I've asked, I think, several more times than you have, because it's a kid thing, and I cannot control when the open houses are at school. But, for different things. But unless it's like something, there's absolutely no way that I can work around it. I let him have that, because I do think, again, in defense of all you guys out there, you do need your time. Russ always calls it cave time. You need your time to do your own thing.
And they need to count on that, to know that every week they're going to get their day. So if something comes up on a Saturday that he can't go do what he was going to do, he knows always that he's got
Tuesday. That Tuesday or whatever time it is that he has with his guys, to know that he always has a time where it's like he's not going to feel bad, that you always plan on him not being around, and he always plans on not being around. That makes it easier, because then you just have an expectation that's, he's like him being out of town on business. He's not here. There's nothing I can do about it. That's the day he does his own thing. And it does make it easier, because he knows he always gets his fix.
Yes, and he'll appreciate that you do that, so when he goes to do something else, he doesn't take advantage or whatever, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree.
I was going to say one other thing about it, and I forgot.
She forgot. She has this really blank look on her face, and she's staring up at the ceiling.
Oh, well, I did. I know what I was going to say. Is I have said to... I try to really let him game as much as he wants right now, knowing that we're going to have kids and he's not going to be able to game whenever he wants. I also always give him his Tuesdays and stuff like that. But there's going to be times in our future where he can't. So unless there's some reason why he can't game, I just let him go, and then I know that he appreciates that I do that, so I get other stuff.
Well, and just in terms of the gaming, I mean, for all the gamer wives out there or girlfriends that are listening to this, there are so many much worse, much more awful things that your husband or guy could be doing as a hobby than, any kind of gaming. Gaming's such an innocuous little thing. It's fun. It's social. It's cerebral when they're playing games. There's lots of math and numbers and stuff. And, it's a harmless thing for them to be doing. So there's a lot worse they could be doing besides that.
And there's not usually any girls around, so you wouldn't have to worry about it.
No, the ratio is like one girl for every 80 men. So,
you don't really have to worry about it.
If that's your concern, ladies, you need to send him gaming all the time, because that's not going to happen there.
Okay.
So I think that's all we have for everybody this week.
Look in the next couple of weeks for a mailbag popping up. And keep the emails coming, because we're definitely going to address them all. We like them.
The wives
at the D6generation.com. And then our website, thewives.webs.com.
Excellent. We will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Since I've got a nice chunk of hobby time here, let's see what I'm going to model. Am I going to build more zombies, or maybe Kazai assassins for my War Machine hardcore list? Well, since I've listened to the entire voluminous D6Generation.com podcasts, let's see what we got going on the radio. Here we go.
Welcome to WDSG 140.7 on your radio dial, where we play all the old-time classics mixed with today's holiday favorites. Stay tuned for Pelvis Elfsley's new Christmas song, but right now, 30 minutes of uninterrupted holiday music on the all-new WDSG.
And now another not-too-horrible hit from the D6Generation.com.
The first thing in gaming that really frustrates me, avoiding a cheesy army. The second thing in gaming that really frustrates me,
packing up the pieces
and avoiding a cheesy army. The third thing in gaming that really frustrates me,
time to paint my models,
packing up the pieces
and avoiding a cheesy army. The fourth thing in gaming that really frustrates me,
playing with my meeples,
time to paint my models,
packing up the pieces
and avoiding a cheesy army. The fifth thing in gaming that really frustrates me, Twilight Imperium,
playing with my meeples,
time to paint my models,
packing up the pieces
and avoiding a cheesy army. The sixth thing in gaming that really frustrates me,
dice off the table,
5 hours of TI.
Look, a meeple pyramid,
time to paint my models,
maybe if I got some baggies,
and avoiding a cheesy army. The seventh thing in gaming that really frustrates me,
him getting home on time.
Damn, it's by your foot.
5 more hours of TI.
This meeple's doing a handstand.
Time to paint my models.
Does the board go on top or bottom?
And avoiding a cheesy army. The eighth thing in gaming that really frustrates me,
getting pwned by noobs.
Him getting home on time.
And now your other foot.
Another 5 hours of TI.
Happy Meeple Circle.
Time to paint my models.
Where'd those rubber bands go?
And avoiding a cheesy army. The ninth thing in gaming that really frustrates me,
keeping track of tokens,
getting pwned by noobs.
Fine, 20 more minutes.
Dice off the table.
Still more hours of TI.
Line up, my little meeples.
Time to paint my models.
The box almost closes.
And avoiding a cheesy army. The 10th thing in gaming that really frustrates me.
Rulebooks with no index.
Keeping track of tokens.
Is that kid really 10?
You said 20 minutes ago.
Dice off the table.
Days and days of TI.
Aw, now they're holding hands.
Time to paint my models.
Maybe a tackle box.
And avoiding a cheesy army. The 11th thing in gaming that really frustrates me.
Dice that betray me.
Rulebooks with no index.
Which ship did I destroy?
He was older than he looks.
I'm not waiting up again.
Dice off the table.
An eternity of TI.
Meeple conga line.
Time to paint my models.
What about duct tape?
And avoiding a cheesy army. The 12th thing in gaming that really frustrates me. Staying in my budget.
Dice that betray me.
Where are the psychology rules?
I lost all my damage markers.
There's still age and treachery.
That's it, I'm going to bed.
Dice off the table.
Dying of old age while playing TI.
Meeple massacre.
What's the website for painted figs?
Screw it, I'm just leaving a setup.
And avoiding a cheesy army.
Happy holidays from the D6 generation.
Merry Christmas, everybody. And
Happy holidays, everybody.
The preceding Not Too Horrible hit was brought to you by
The D6generation.com and their wives.
You're listening to the D6 generation. We just love playing around.
Welcome back, everybody.
To that same old place that you started from.
All right.
What's this segment all about, Raef?
Must-own games for
He's reading.
engineers.
What? All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we've got here is we've got a bunch of emails that were like, what do you think the best games are? And somebody asked for our top 10, and that would just be ludicrous. And Russ got really excited.
I'm very excited about this.
Bitten by the excitement bug. He's been all giggly and cackly. So wait, no. You don't get to defend yourself.
Yeah, no.
Okay? So we got this email. Hey guys, I have an idea for the last segment. We're all okay. Good. The top 3 games each of us think any gamer should own.
Every gamer should.
Or would be happy to own.
Right.
Okay. So that's fine. That's a good one. We okay, nice little short segment. That's great. We're trying to cut down the time a little bit, for you guys who don't have a 5-hour commute a week.
Right.
Raef's got his little list.
Fly to London for work.
Exactly. Russ decides, arbitrarily, but okay, that we're going to keep our lists secret.
Right.
Okay, which is fine. You don't get to talk. Which is fine.
That wasn't agreed to.
Okay. So that's great. So I've got my list. Raef, we hope, has his list. Russ has been cackling all day long. Oh, I can't wait. It's a competition.
You're building it up. It's not that exciting.
It's exactly my point. It's not that exciting. Right. And yet, here you are. Oh, you guys just wait. You wait till you hear mine, because I'm going to totally own.
That rubbing hand thing.
Yes. He does that thing. Here, can you hear this?
You mean this?
Yeah, he does that. He and his brother both do that when they get excited.
He stole that from John.
Yeah, he did.
I'm the older brother. He stole it from me. That's how it works.
Not necessarily, but and so he's super excited and he's cackling, and I don't get it. I feel like once again, this fad has washed over me, and I've been left behind. I'm waiting for the excitement. I want to see the magic. So Russ, take it away. Show me the magic of the top 3 list.
Okay. Well, the goal here, because I'm not sure I follow what just happened there. We're going to pick the 3 games every gamer should own, and it also can double as a gift list.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because if every gamer should own them, then any gamer would theoretically like it.
Theoretically.
So I thought Nicole should listen to this.
To start this first, before we name our games, we should talk about the criteria we use to pick our lists.
Okay.
So, Raef, what criteria did you use to pick your list? What was in your head when you came up with this?
Okay.
So our listeners, we didn't define. One of the fun things about this was we made no rules.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Okay.
I don't find this fun.
Okay. No.
For me, it's fun. It's
I'm
like a
bored.
game, and I like games. So, Raef, what criteria did you use to pick your games?
I actually thought it was 10. So then when I learned it was only 3,
you were all excited.
There was only one rule. Pick 3 games. There was no other rules. All right, sorry.
So what I did was I actually took some time, care, and attention to really think what every gamer needs to play. Not have, but have played to consider themselves in the milieu of gamerdom.
What? Okay, that's interesting. All right, so Craig, what did you use for it?
Like gamer cred.
I tried to think of, we all own 1 billion games, and I tried to think of the games that I really want to play, and I went current. I didn't go my entire collection all the way back to, first edition Dungeons & Dragons. Right now, the games that I have and the games that I really enjoy playing and I want to play, and I think that it's something that everybody should go out and get. That was my criteria.
Cool.
For my milieu of the gamerdomness.
Nice. Now, what I did was I thought it would be good to look at it by sort of gaming roles.
Oh, Jesus.
He's an engineer,
so
folks.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Get a category.
You mean like Sesame?
No,
no.
No, nor like cooking.
You could probably get him to bake the rolls, I was going to say.
You know what I'm thinking, Craig, is we've picked 3 games. Russ picked 3 games per category.
Yeah, exactly, and had 5 categories.
He's dangerously close. Okay, so moving on.
I swear, the 4th game you mention shuts down your mic.
No, we're good. Okay,
it does. No, it's like when people send us submissions, man.
That's right.
No, but we didn't pick any games, or at least I didn't pick any games that were out of production.
I picked them all because I'm a bastard.
Nice. So, Craig, Raef, are any of your games? Well, let's get to the games. So,
yes.
Who would like to name the first game?
I'm going to go first.
Okay.
All right, Raef, go.
But, you're doing number 3, right?
Starting with your third most important thing you should own.
I didn't rank them like
that.
that.
Well, then pick it at random.
Go.
Here's how I ranked it. Someone said, Raef, you're going to be on a desert island with other people for 10 years. What 3 games do you bring? That's how I ranked
Okay, there's your question.
Okay, that's good.
All right?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. House on Haunted Hill.
Okay, now the problem with that, and Russ will tell you, is that it's out of print.
I know that, but I followed my instructions.
Is it Betrayal at the House on the Hill?
It's Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Yep.
Okay.
Here's the stand-ins.
Oh, good point. Oh, good. See, he's going to mention more than 3 games,
I had the same
too.
thing. That's the way I did it, too.
We're
craftsmen, Craig. Craftsmen.
Wordsmiths.
Any of the 2 Flying Frog games. Either A Touch of Evil or, and I never Last Night on Earth. I call it the zombie game. But
I would say A Touch of Evil is way more like Betrayal.
Why do you think Betrayal is a must-own game? Or games like it, of its ilk?
Because it's the gateway game.
It is the gateway game.
It is loose. It's a good genre of horror. It's just unique. It has tiles. It's got it all, man. It's got minis.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. Good. Pre-painted minis.
Pre-painted. Yep.
Okay, that's a good one.
I gotta say, if it was not out of print, it probably would have been on my list.
Yes. I'm really curious too. How much overlap there is in our list. I think it's beautiful.
Okay.
That's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about this.
I can tell.
Do you want to go next, or want me to go next?
You go next.
Okay. So what I picked for my number 3 was for my first category.
I'm not looking.
You can look.
I'm not looking.
It's in code. You can look.
Oh, it's in code.
Oh
my God, it's written
for the
backwards.
first category. Here we go.
Oh,
every gamer needs to own a filler game. Okay. Now, for those who haven't been listening to the show, a filler game is any game that plays in under 45 minutes. My current favorite filler game.
See, he really does have 3 games for this
category.
category.
Listen. It's only one, but with backups in case you don't like it.
Jesus.
The reason here's a filler game. Okay, a filler game's job, and the reason it's under 45 minutes. Filler game's job is when you're waiting around for your friend Craig to show up so you can play Uncharted Seas, and you got one guy sitting around there, right? Mm-hmm. You need a game you can play real quick with somebody. So that's what a filler's game's job is. And my current favorite filler game is Race for the Galaxy.
Yet again, you've pronounced it wrong.
If you want to go buy it in a store, you have to say Race. You can't go to the store and say
close
Raef.
enough.
Now, Race for the Galaxy, what I like about it is my favorite filler game is that it plays good for 2 to 4 players, even with 5 you have an expansion, and it actually plays good at 2 players. All right. Now, other games that fall into this category, in case
the 4th game you mentioned shuts down your mic.
Yes.
Other games that in the past are not my favorite
Think
anymore.
about it.
No,
think about it. I'm serious.
Stop it. Infernal Contraption. But the problem with Infernal Contraption is it's a great game, but it doesn't go well with 2 players. It's really better for more. And if you're looking for a gateway game in this category, Millborns, it doesn't get any better than Millborns. Would you agree about that, Craig?
Yes.
That's 3 games.
There you go. So that's my
Congratulations.
number 3, Race for the Galaxy.
He picked all filler
or
games.
Or a filler
Craig.
game.
Yeah, he picked all filler games. That's not our fault.
Your turn. Raef, what's your number 2 one?
No, wait. Oh, you're just going to skip me?
Well, I took too many slots. We got to get rid of something.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead, Craig. Sorry.
Curiously enough, I chose a filler game.
See? Look at I knew it. See, great minds think alike.
Cutthroat Caverns.
Well, I wanted to pick Cutthroat. I really did.
Yeah.
But
I forgot about
Cutthroat goes too long for me for a filler.
But if you've got people who aren't agonizing over their frickin' card choices, it's an hour game.
But if you get that chick there, that one that makes the more
right, but there's 1 out of 45.
All right.
1 out of 45.
I like it. I agree with Cutthroat.
Okay, Cutthroat. It's not my favorite game right now. You guys want to play it more than I do.
Yeah, I like it.
In fact, the last 2 times I've played is because other people.
It's because you own it and play it 20 times. We don't get to see it very often.
Well, there you go.
Right.
But no, I think it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. It's very simple, and for some reason, I don't know why, it's a total screw your friends game that doesn't emotionally upset me.
No. Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're not getting the rules for that one.
No, you get in rules tete-a-tetes because you don't accept the whole point that the game is if there's a question, it should screw the person the most.
It always seems to screw me the most.
Well, that's why you're all like.
But when I say, but if we interpret it the other way, it would screw you more. It doesn't make. Still, it's an awesome game. Good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, and now caveat.
Yep.
Because of printing and distribution issues, a lot of people are having trouble getting it right now. Kurt Covert, I love the fact that the guy's name is Kurt Covert, and the name of his company is Smirk and Dagger Games.
I like it.
Kurt is working really hard, working like a dog to fix the issues, and it looks like the game and at least its major expansion should be in stores soon. If not by Christmas, then hopefully with enough time for you to spend your Christmas money.
Yeah, I've heard January
on it. Yes,
that's what I've heard.
Nice.
Good. Okay, so first round. There we go. So now, Raef, what is your second one you would choose?
Okay, I pick for me going on an island, Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. Good choice. Mm-hmm. So a role-playing game. And D&D.
Yes, and that's my parentheses. Slash, for those of you that are like, I want to play Dark Heresy, go for it. Serenity,
that's what I was
the Cortex system. Too. Absolutely. So yes, for me, it's D&D / role-playing game.
Okay, that's 3 for you. So I guess it's just my turn now.
So you pick a role-playing game. Now, why'd you choose a role-playing game?
Because the opportunities for gameplay are endless.
Right.
It's creativity, it's writing, it's thinking, it's character creation, it's GMing, it's miniatures playing. It's got it all.
Is there a concern you'll run out of paper on the island?
No, you have sand.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, if it didn't require more paper, it could go forever. See, a chessboard never get old. Chess isn't on my list, by the way. Well, you want me to go next again?
Yeah, you go next.
All right. So, nice one. I like the RPG. That was a good one. That's good.
I wish I'd have thought. I would have thought.
I didn't pick an RPG.
I would have picked if I thought.
Well, I'm going to say this, too, about my list. I didn't pick any miniature games or RPGs. And that was mostly because I was thinking about not every gamer...
A single box under the tree.
Well, no, not every gamer likes an RPG or a hobby game. But I think every gamer will like the games on my list. I think so.
You're great.
Except, no, would you stop? No. I mean,
I'm serious.
No,
You're awesome.
No, except, I know you don't like Race for the Galaxy, but that's a personal thing.
No, it's actually, I don't know Race for the Galaxy. I'm just taking a really perverted pride in being the only person on the planet not to have played it.
Fair enough. It's like Agricola.
You know
the same way. Yeah. All right.
You know, Ray.
My number 2. See, there's the code part. My number 2.
Jesus Christ. It really is a code.
Okay. So we've got the filler game. Now, every gamer should also have a great co-op versus game. Okay? Now, when I say versus, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the pure co-op against the board game. But I like the ones where there's some kind of opponent hidden in the shadows. Pardon the pun. My current favorite is it's a tie. Any gamer will be happy with either Battlestar Galactica or Shadows over Camelot, in my mind. The only difference is Battlestar, it's just the theme. So if you're a gamer guy, you're getting a present for is a sci-fi guy, clearly it's Battlestar. If he's more of a medieval guy, clearly it's Shadows. Other recommendations, if they already own that game, is Fury of Dracula or Descent Road to Legend. Both are awesome. But
see, Craig, he gets away with
this. This is me hitting my head against the mic.
Do you know why? You know what I just realized? He's the editor.
Yep.
He's like
he's the big giant head. He gets to make all the choices.
Yes,
look,
he
you
does.
could have been as creative with this as you want. It's not my fault you took it all very literally. Any comments on that? Concerns?
Yeah,
you agree with me?
You're unbelievable.
Because I picked Descent kind of because it would never run out either. It's kind of like the D&D choice. It would never get old if you're on an island.
Yeah. My number 2 is Battlestar Galactica.
Hey, we tied. I like it. See, there's overlap.
See, I don't get the competition level, but we tied.
There's no competition.
Then how do you tie if there's no competition?
No, I mean, it reinforces it's a good game
know,
choice because we chose the same game.
I would disagree that an equal number of people would like both Battlestar and Shadows.
I agree. With what you just said, Craig.
Yeah,
Well, actually, I have some people. Well, here's the thing. Some of my friends prefer Shadows over Battlestar.
Yeah, but they have no taste. Right there at the beginning of your statement.
Here it is.
Friends of Russ.
Here's my thinking on this, because I think it's an important thing to think about. Battlestar perfectly captures the essence of the show and is awesome for sci-fi. But from a pure game mechanic point of view, the only thing Battlestar I think is a weakness is that you can spend half the game working for one side, and then suddenly in the middle of the game realize, oh crap, I'm now on the other side and everything I did
I cannot disagree with you strongly enough that that's a weakness.
Well, no. I mean,
I think that's one of the coolest things about the game.
It's really cool, but from a pure, I'm playing to win point of view, it sucks.
Right, but I don't think you're playing these board games. See, if you're playing these board games to win as opposed to have fun...
Well, no. It's not, I'm not saying not to have fun. What I'm saying is...
No, I know what you're saying.
Some people don't like a die roll determining which side you're on to win, and that's Battlestar has that element in it. Not bad. It's not awful. It's just different.
No, I'm trying to think of people who would take one call over the other, and they're just all bad people. I mean, really. They're just bad human beings.
Okay, well, Dave, Craig doesn't like you anymore. But anyway, that's
it's
my...
Dave
Farr.
Reinforcement right there.
You go.
Okay.
Nice. But I think...
did he or did he not spend all week in court?
I don't know.
Oh, he totally did. He's a criminal.
Would you stop picking on Dave? What the hell? All right, sorry, folks.
So if you're a criminal, like Dave, spend all week in court.
Apparently, if you don't
agree you're a criminal,
Craig, you're a criminal.
No. That's the court connection. Okay, that's a
all
joke.
Right.
That's a joke. He's not a criminal. I love Dave. He's great when he's playing games that have any kind of. I like Shadows over Camelot. It's fine. I like it. I just don't like it as much as Battlestar Galactica.
That's okay.
And the things that you bring up as weaknesses, I don't think are weaknesses.
That's okay.
I like is that the metagame, the psychological metagame that you're playing with everybody else, blends perfectly with the actual mechanics of the game.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I think it's the first game I've ever seen that's done that.
It does a good job.
And it really all you have to do is remember Chad's reaction at Games Day at Chez Fleuret.
Here's what I'd say. Last thing on the topic. I think Battlestar feels like a party game, in that no one's really trying to win. It's just this fun adventure, which is awesome. Whereas Shadows over Camelot, there's actually competitiveness between the players, and if you like competitiveness, that's cool. If you want a party game, that's cool, and that's the difference.
Yeah, another thing I don't like about Shadows is death.
Death is inevitable.
It's not, though. In games, in Battlestar Galactica, you end up in the
you never get knocked out of the
sick
game.
bay, and
That's
you're
true.
still in the game.
Yeah.
I've been knocked out of Shadows, and it's quite often because you're taking hits for the team.
I understand.
Yep.
And
one of the dangers of fighting in medieval times. It's very risky business.
Russ, lying on his couch with his feet crossed, his hands crossed upon his breast, lying there and going, "You know what it is about shadows?"
Do you imagine a psychiatrist in the other chair writing down notes?
I just like the game.
Just putting them into these little boxes and distinctions, and I'm kind of like, what am I in the mood for? Cylons or catapults?
Right.
That's to the level that I decide.
Yeah.
All right, so
anyway.
I like Battlestar.
Okay,
so there's a
there you go.
good endorsement for those kinds of
There
games.
we go.
Actually, my favorite out of those three is A Touch of Evil. Go on.
Was that in there?
Those two, I mean.
Your favorite between Battlestar Galactica and Shadows
if you're
over
talking
Camelot.
If you're talking about the concept of co-op games, you mean throwing Touch of Evil in there? Is that kind?
Yep.
Well, I don't, because it's not a versus co-op game.
Well, according to you.
Well, no, I mean you're not fighting any person. You're fighting the board, right?
I know, but
unless you go
it's
team.
Russ category.
Well, no, I mean, okay. All right. Okay, then. Moving right along.
How do you argue with that?
I don't argue with that. Okay, so Raef, what is your number one or last one, depending on how
you have an extra set of bullet points.
No, number 3. One,
you got
2,
rid of it.
3.
Oh, you got rid of it. Okay.
Don't panic.
So,
Raef, what's up with your final choice?
Okay, my final choice that every gamer
must
cannot
own. Right.
Live a life without having owning and played is You're not going to know what it is, Russ. Okay. System Shock 2.
I know what that is.
No, I mean, you're not going to guess that I picked a PC platform.
Oh, okay. I would have been surprised if the PC game didn't get in here.
And for those of you that, if it's out of print, because I'm not sure if it is, the current incarnation of that is BioShock. Mm-hmm. Although not as good as System Shock 2, in my opinion.
So on your island.
Yep.
How do you plug this baby in?
Item 4 on his list is a generator. And a paper mill.
All right, cool.
I didn't say that it was a deserted island.
No, yeah, the island wasn't really part of the rules. So good. So you're saying that the ultimate, because we talk about video games on the show, so the ultimate video game you're saying is that either BioShock.
No, I'm saying of all games, out of all gamer
any genre,
you need to play and have played System Shock 2. Now let me tell you why. Because it blended perfectly. The first time for me, a first-person shooter had a story element to it.
Okay.
And it was just I felt like I was in that game and lived, like I still remember it to this day. You know, it was like a story.
That's a quality game. So you'd recommend if someone's getting someone a gift in that area, you're saying BioShock?
Yeah.
All right.
Which is great because it plays on the PC or a 360.
Right. Good.
I don't know
or even a PS3. It's out for the PS3 too. Good. All right, that's a good one. So you want me to go next, or you want to?
I do.
Okay, here we go.
Why don't we
now, I'm going to say right now, on this category, I blatantly cheated on this last one.
Surprise!
Well, no, because I went where Raef went, and I felt bad about it. So I wanted to include a secondary option for people who just have no interest in this category. So here's we go. My thing, going with my theme.
Cheat to win.
Cheat to win. It's right here in my notes.
See, the competition. I don't get that this is a competition.
Just okay.
We're tied. We're cheating to win.
No, stop.
It's not a competition.
It's a co-op game. Okay. So we talked about co-op games, talked about filler games. I think every gamer should have a great way to play with friends remotely in this age of the internet. And I think the ultimate solution to that, and this one came to me actually on Friday after Thanksgiving, is the Xbox 360. And you should have, I'm not talking about getting a specific game. I think just having Xbox Live.
Not a game.
No, wait. And the arcade. I know, but this is something every gamer needs to have because you can play Carcassonne, you can play Ticket to Ride, you can play Settlers of Catan, you can play other games that are very much like board games like Age of Booty.
This is totally cheating.
Right there with your friends.
I think
online.
He broke not 4. I think he broke 40 games.
And I knew you were going to say that. So if you decided this was an illegal choice, if you're thinking, so this is the gift for the gamer. If you got if you're you want to get something your husband something really really nice and kind of big that he's going to like.
Yeah, obviously that's awesome gift.
But if you decided that's just a lame choice for the third game everyone must own, I'm going to go with every gamer should have a great multiplayer large-scale conquest game, which 20 years ago would have been called Risk, but today I would call StarCraft.
Which is awesome, and you know why?
Why?
Because on your number one choice, you're wrong, so you lose.
Why am I wrong?
Because you're wrong.
About what?
So you lose.
So the reason I like StarCraft
because
is
it lasts forever?
No, it doesn't. That's what's great about it. It plays in about 3 hours or less.
4 hours.
Even 4 hours or less. So what?
Well, that would make 3 hours or less a lie.
Well, it can be played if you have known
4 hours. So what?
If you have known play, if everybody knows the rules, you can play the game in under 3 hours. Unlike certain other games that have initials like TI, but it's a good sci-fi game.
No hate.
No hate. And it's got a great conquer the table feel like Risk and the old Axis and Ally games do, but it's got much more balance to it and a lot more replayability because it's not the same scenario every time. So my number one game everybody should own is a good table conquest game, and my recommendation is StarCraft.
Or Xbox.
Or get an Xbox 360 Live with arcade.
Or
that's a better choice than StarCraft by far. By far.
And costs a lot more, too.
About $100 more, yeah.
StarCraft?
Yeah.
StarCraft.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Not Games of Thrones.
No.
Not Descent.
No, well, Descent was my number 2 choice.
One of them.
Your number 2 choice was a category.
Here's the thing about Descent. Not everybody likes... The problem with Descent, I think, to make everybody like it, is that it takes a lot of committed players. I mean, I have some great friends, like you and Craig, who really enjoy Descent but can't commit that level of commitment to play it regularly. So it's hard to get a group of players that can do that. I got very fortunate, but it's really hard to do that, and without that, it's hard to play Descent regularly. But StarCraft, I think, I just have for me personally, there's a lot of gamers that are really like the war game thing where you get on the table and it's like, yeah, I'm going to conquer the world or the galaxy or whatever you're doing. And I think StarCraft really epitomizes that because Risk is one of the fondest games of my childhood, playing those kind of conquer the world games.
Now it comes out. See? I'm getting him on the couch, Craig.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
So that's my choice.
I like StarCraft a lot, but I don't like the combat card mechanic.
Yeah, it's different. I like this diceless. I like that part about it.
But it's still random. But
that's random.
It's
like Game of Thrones.
That's more random. That's more. That's like Axis and Allies as far as your location.
Well,
on the
that's the thing
board.
about Game of Thrones is that you once you've played it enough, the replayability goes way down because there's only so many options for each player, and it's all about negotiation, which is kind of cool, but it does get.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun too.
Yeah,
but StarCraft does take. To me, it's too long.
It's long.
I like to play it every now and then, but I can't. I don't think it's a. Yeah. Anyway. I went with the flash in the pan.
What'd you
New
get?
Boy on the Street. My number one game currently is Uncharted Seas.
Oh, good choice. A miniature game got in there. I'm glad.
Now, see the reason that I wasn't going to put miniature game in there, but actually something you said a couple weeks ago really has been percolating, and that's how close that rule book resembles a board game rule book.
Yeah, it does do that.
And I think this is about as close as a miniature game is going to get to a board game. The rules are basic, they're simple, they're elegant. There's not a lot of room for confusion. You don't really need to paint these up. I mean, you could. I mean,
you should.
You should.
Much better with them.
But you drop a glue in each little hole the masts go in, and you're good to go. Also,
right.
You just need some blue cloth and some brown felt cut into irregular shapes, and you've got your board all set. And I've been having an absolute blast. And to answer a question that somebody else put on the forum was how much replayability and flexibility do you get in those starter fleets? And I think you'd agree that there's enough tactical depth in the game that with those 4 squadrons that you get in that box, you don't feel like you're like with Battlefleet Gothic, you got like all cruisers and that was it, little plastic cruisers and so you were going to fight cruiser battles no matter what you were doing. There was no battleships, there was no smaller frigates,
right?
And the fact that the starter fleet gives you a battleship, 3 cruisers, and 6 frigates really allows for a lot more flexibility.
Not only that, but when BFG first came out, there was only the 2 races. It took a while for the rest of the races to flush out.
Right.
Remember?
Yep.
But this game's right out of the chute. All 3 races.
4 with a 5th right around the
also,
corner.
it's affordable enough for 2 guys like you and I to get everything they make.
Oh, that's key.
And then bring it to the gaming store, your gaming club, and get everybody involved with it.
Yep.
So it's almost like a board game because the model count's low enough where it's easy to paint them all up.
Yep.
And you just bring everything, and you borrow my models to play together.
Right. That's what I have here. Okay. If you don't own anything, I would say a rule book and 2 fleets.
Yep.
Because then you're going to be able to play no matter what, and it's exactly like having a board game. Okay.
I agree with everything Craig said, except I'm sitting here thinking about it, and I'm saying I would rather watch paint dry in slow motion.
But we already know that you don't like this particular type of game.
It's just interesting how our tastes differ.
That's why I thought it would be a fun segment.
There you go.
See how fun it is?
I'm having a blast. You can't hear it, but I'm standing on my head. Okay, I've played a whole bunch of times, and only once have I played with somebody else's fleet, yours.
Yes.
Every other time I've played, I've been dwarves and dark and elf lord, dwarf, dragon things. Okay, if
you
someone
sing wonderfully, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, great. Yeah. And I assume you mean I sync other people wonderfully.
That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. If someone really loves you, I'd say try to get them to do the bundle deal so you get all 4 fleets.
Yeah. If someone's going to drop, that's less than the price of a 360. Not by much, but
not by much, but okay. And that will get as many of your friends hooked as possible.
Right.
If somebody already has, like moi or vous. French? Really?
What?
I had to go there.
You did have to go there. It is getting late now.
It is.
He's gone far.
If you've got the book, I have the book and the Dwarf and Dragonlord fleets, and I am going to be asking for some expansions for both. So I don't know if Santa's going to be able to pull that off because they're really difficult to put their hands on.
Spartan's getting heavy.
But if I've got a dragon carrier or a battle cruiser or 2 weighing down my stocking, I'm going to be a happy puppy.
Nice.
So that's my number 1. Currently.
Great. That's pretty good stuff. And we had an overlap. I would be surprised.
I'm surprised we didn't get as much more overlap.
I knew we'd get Battlestar. The parameters were open.
I knew. Yeah. But I also thought that
I knew that no one would match Hollywood. I knew 2 things for sure.
Yeah.
That you can guarantee that.
Although we did both pick a video game there, Raef. You and I snuck one in.
I picked a game. You picked a gaming console.
I picked Xbox Arcade.
That's true.
The entire platform.
Yeah.
Well, because they're all cheap. For the price of BioShock, you can get Carcassonne online. You can get. That's the other thing too. For you to know this, Carcassonne, for example, is what, like $30? On Xbox Live, it's $10.
Yes,
but
and just
Ticket to Ride is like $50. On Xbox Live, it's $10.
If the listeners like sugar brought to you by the tribesmen of Russ, then absolutely be happy. But if you're like me, I hate Carcassonne on the Xbox. Hate Settlers of Catan.
But see, Craig and I played Carcassonne the other day.
I'm just saying, if it's like a critic, if people are like, I follow Hollywood thinking, then I don't think they'll enjoy it.
Well, I think it's cool because I can play with my friends.
What if the people on the island are cannibals?
Ooh.
Is this the island you're on?
That's a whole new game. You need video cameras for that.
Are you going to throw your role-playing books at them?
Yes.
You will.
I'm going to throw my generator at them.
It's a good choices, so I'm glad we got an RPG in there, too.
Yeah, that was good. I liked it.
We did. I would have put Serenity if I'd thought role-playing, but I don't know what. I probably would have put Serenity instead of Cutthroat Caverns, but I'm glad Cutthroat Caverns made it.
Yeah, if I'd got miniatures, you know what I would have picked.
Yeah.
War Machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would have gagged. And wait, don't stop. We've got one other thing to take care of.
What we do?
Oh, we do?
The
What's
secret
that?
word is...
Oh, yes, the secret word. The secret word is innovative mechanic.
Ding, 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 ding.
Innovative mechanic.
Ding, 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 ding.
Like this whole segment featured an innovative mechanic.
Ding, 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 ding.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Did you ever notice is brought to you this week by, you know the drill, nobody. Once again, this one's completely gratis. Merry early Christmas, everybody. Did you ever notice that some people can never fully appreciate the abstract nature of a war game? I mean, we all know it's a game, unless you're playing Mazes and Monsters, right, Tom Hanks? So I'm not talking about some two-dimensional made-for-TV movie character suddenly suffering from a bout of PTSD, suddenly jumping onto the 40K table and screaming about how chaos has finally come to get us all. I'm talking about the guys who don't seem to get that a tabletop or board game meant to simulate warfare is going to have to rely on certain abstractions to make the game playable. Now, before I go any further, I want to get this out in the open right now. No one appreciates and respects our veterans or any veterans more than I do. So please don't take the following as a blanket indictment of anybody. It's just a generalization about a certain type of gamer, some of which happen to be veterans. So here goes. I was watching Raef's Flames of War game this week, enjoying my status as game voyeur as usual. Raef fields a U.S. light tank company with a platoon of armored infantry in support, so it's got about 10 to 12 light tanks and 4 armored personnel carriers in it. Once the infantry deploy, you're looking at about 30 vehicles and stands of infantry on the board, which is quite impressive. Raef was playing against our friend Don, who fields a German tank company. As was true through most of the war, the German tanks in the game are generally better armed, better armored, and with more experienced crews, and thus more effective in game terms. Because of this, for game balance, they cost more to field, and so against Raef's 30 units, Don had 8. Raef's fast and maneuverable tanks quickly outflanked the Germans in the early game as they moved slowly towards the central objective. Raef's tanks were firing more shots, and they had the advanced technology of the American stabilized targeting system, and in turn 1, it looked like Don was doomed. 3 German tanks went up like Roman candles, and the odds were now 6-1 against the Hun. No offense to our German listeners. So that's when things, unfortunately, started to go pear-shaped for Raef. Turn after turn after that, he was losing tanks. His transports got bogged down trying to cross a river in the backfield, so the infantry was out of position when he needed them. And furthermore, it became painfully obvious that those 3 quick kills early on were extremely lucky, and Raef could barely scratch the paint of the remaining 5 tanks. Soon, Raef was left with a ragtag collection of infantry remnants, arrayed against 3 German tanks that sat fat and happy on top of the objective. In a desperate last-ditch effort, Raef decided to assault the tanks with his infantry. If he couldn't take them all out, at least he'd go down in a blaze of glory, right? At least he'd have a chance at victory. Unfortunately, in Flames of War, when you assault, the attacked unit has a thing called defensive fire. and tanks in particular can be devastating, especially if they are, as these were, festooned with machine guns. Raef's assaulting men took heavy casualties going in, and, in accordance with the rules of the game, they were pinned and couldn't move forward anymore, thus effectively ending their assault, and soon after, Raef's game. It was dramatic, everybody was satisfied, it was fun to watch, and that would have been it, if it hadn't been for another gaming voyeur on the other side of the table. Now, he's a really good friend of ours and a great guy, give you the shirt off his back kind of guy, so this is not an attack on him, but in this instance, all I could do was shake my head. He watched the last assault occur, asked a few rules clarification questions, and then looked up with a single raised eyebrow and uttered these immortal words. Well, as a man trained to assault things, I can tell you that is not what would happen. Our friend Don is quite the historical gamer, and he knows a lot, and he tried to explain the basis behind the abstraction, but the other voyeur was having none of it. The conversation got just a little bit heated, and our friend kept coming back to the statement, some of the men would have kept going. Eventually, Raef and Don packed up their armies, trying to have a bit of an after-action debrief, but the wind had been taken out of their sails, and they obviously just wanted to move on. I was a bit taken aback, I'll admit. As a professional gaming voyeur, I know that you should never attempt to impose your real-world views on the gaming system you're watching. There's definitely a time for vets of any stripe to share their experience and opinions with other gamers. I love hearing guys talk after a game about similar things they've seen or they've heard about in training or in real life. And if it's basically positive or at least not supremely judgmental, I could listen to those guys go on all day long. But seriously, no comment that started with, well, as a man trained to assault things, was going to end well. Now, in stark contrast to this, in my own defense, my last game of the night, Uncharted Seas, was with 3 of the other historical gamers of our group. And there's always an edge of nervousness about introducing historical gamers to fantasy games. Even though I knew these guys were open-minded, I was a bit concerned that they'd find the game either too simple or too frivolous. You know what I mean. Now, adding to my nervousness was the fact that one of the guys was Bob. Bob's a bit of a local legend. He doesn't talk about himself much, but Bob did 2 tours with a Special Forces unit in Vietnam. The details are hard to come by, but it was either with a SEAL team or with the Green Berets. His knowledge of all things military is second to none. And after my earlier experience, I think my concern is understandable. But you know what? We had a blast. They loved the game, completely accepted the abstractions of fantasy naval combat, and Bob was nothing but engaged and entertained and entertaining the whole time. Even when his Dragon Lord frigates were rammed and overrun by their dwarven counterparts in a close-in boarding action, he was nothing but positive. So, I'd say the moral is this. We're playing games. The designers have to take real-world events and options and abstract them in order to get them to fit into a balanced and easily understood rules set. There is definitely a place for stories of your real-life experience and the 2 cents you can bring to rules discussions, but that time is not while 2 other people are having a good time playing a game that they clearly enjoy. Whether or not you think the rules for choosing which model has latrine duty really reflects the true situation from the point of view of a man who was trained to dig latrines. That's it, I guess. Just be careful when you feel the urge to interject your real-world views on someone else's game. And if you feel the driving need to establish your bona fides in a broad, sweeping comment beforehand, try to hold off, okay? Now, if you've noticed anything about your local gaming scene recently, email me at craig@the d6generation.com, and maybe it'll make its way into a future Do You Ever Notice? Till then, good night.
Achievement unlocked! You've made it to the end of another D6 Generation episode, the podcast whose humor has universally been acclaimed as not too horrible. Please let us know what you thought of the show by either emailing us at info@thed6generation.com or by posting in our official D6G episode thread at the top of the DACA discussions forum on DACA.com. If for some inexplicable reason you actually enjoyed this show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. See you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening, and happy gaming.
The theme from When Wives Attack comes from the soundtrack of The Last Night on Earth, the zombie game, courtesy of Flying Frog Productions, and is a composition of Mary Beth Magalanes.
The eighth thing in gaming that really frustrates me.
That was you.
Oh, I didn't know that was me. I didn't highlight it.